blah 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 blah.
Hello everybody and welcome to I'll Tell You What TV. Apologies that we are late getting going tonight, but Steve's had a few problems with Skype, but we are now on. And we are going to be talking about the Baku Grand Prix, but I would just like to say we do have a special guest with us as well, in the form of the Dutch magician, as I've just named him, Jeroen Kweekel. Hello Steve, hello James, hello Jeroen.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So is it Jeroen as in your own?
Yeah, that's close to it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you guys will ever pronounce it 100% right, but I can forgive you, so no problem.
Well, one of the questions I was going to ask you is how to correctly pronounce your name, but I know I asked you on a commentary once, and the way you told me was, you told me how to say it, and I went, well, the only way that works for me is if I imagine telling a child to go to your room. Because you go to your room.
Close enough. Yeah.
So, your room.
It's Jeroen. That's it.
There you go. It's a good Jeroen. So okay. Now I've got a bit of a surprise for you, Mr. Kweekel, and that is Steve knows who you are, but he thought your name was Jerome. James is one of the few people on the planet that's never heard of you. So we're gonna have to ask.
Apologies.
Yeah, he's heard of you because I've talked about you, but he doesn't know who you are. So I am going to ask you a few questions, and I'm sure Steve and James may throughout the course of the evening as well. So, a couple of quick fire questions for you. How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay. How much do you like beer?
I'm drinking right now, so it's quite good.
Okay.
How much do you like women?
Oh God. Well, I would be lying if I said no, but on that subject I can also come up with a few quotes that Dave once said. I've noted them all down.
Yeah, we might save them for a bit.
Yeah, we might save them later on in the show.
Okay. I know you from the sim racing world, so what have you achieved in the sim racing world?
No, not much really.
Not much. Formula Sim Racing 2016 World Champion?
Yeah, that's something that I achieved, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's more achievements as well, but that's the most sort of recent championship I know about you. And we will talk about your gaming lifestyle, but there is a really important question that I do need to ask you, and that is, when did you last shit yourself?
When did I last what?
Shit yourself.
Whoa, that's a good one. I'm actually gonna have to think about that one as well.
That's probably a good thing that you have to think about.
Yeah, exactly. I assume it was, I think this morning. I think that's it.
This morning. All right. Okay.
How about you, Dave?
It's been a few months.
Oh, okay.
For James, it's been a few weeks. For Steve, I don't know how recent his last one was.
Now, when we say when was the last time you shit yourself, we don't mean going to the toilet and shitting yourself. We mean
I'm
somewhere
just shitting
in your
my trousers.
Yes. Oh dear, I've just had an accident. Kind of shit myself.
Yeah, that was this morning. No, to be honest, probably a few years ago. To be honest.
Fair enough. Well,
I don't have these accidents yet. I'm pretty young. I don't know if it comes with age. Probably not.
Ask James. James, what happens as you get older?
What do you mean? What happens when you get older?
When you get well, when we started these podcasts, you would never.
You're making me. I'm a spring chicken. You're making me out to be like an old git. Well, let's just say before I started this podcast, hand on my heart, don't think I have. And since I've been doing this podcast, I've done it twice, and it's been just about six. Is it just over 6 months we started?
It's about that, yeah.
Yeah, 6 months and I've already done it twice. And the last time when I was walking dog, and I was about 10 minutes away from home, which walking home quite gingerly took about half an hour. And people were literally staring at me like, "What's up with him?" I went to walk like I had a weird limp.
I can understand.
Try and hold it in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure we're going to have some more questions for you, Jeroen. Anyone that's listening to this that knows who you are, they already know about you. I mean, as I told you before, I went to a family wedding up north in the UK, got talking to a couple of people that I didn't know, and turns out they watch you on YouTube as well. So there's plenty of people that know of you. Well, one question I am going to ask you is, why didn't you do the esports championship last year, and are you doing the esports championship this year? Because I think there's a lot of people that would have thought that you would have won it last year had you taken part.
Is that with the Codemasters games, yeah?
Yes.
I didn't do it last year because I didn't race a lot in general, to be honest, like not competitively. I'm trying to pick it up a little bit again. That's going quite well. I did try to qualify in China, which was like a wet event. That went quite alright, but not good enough. I think the second event was in Baku, which is already finished, I think. I don't know what the last event is, but I'll try to qualify for that one and see whether I can join in. I'm gonna give it a go, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that you recently got a PS4 and the game.
Exactly. That's exactly the reason why I am, why I'm feeling good about it, doing it.
Seeing as you're here, would you like to compete in my league?
What? Say again?
How far can we stretch Jeroen Kweekel?
Exactly. I think it'd be. It might bring some subscribers, seeing as we're on season 3, and each championship consists of 8 rounds.
It's only taken James 5 minutes to plug his league.
Got to try and plug it. It were brilliant last night. I was leading the race, qualified 3rd, bolted off at line. I'm thinking, bloody hell, I'm quick compared to some of these guys. Some of them guys are normally going like 2 seconds a lap quicker than me. Gets around to lap 5. Fucking dashboards lighting up, looking down, no fucking fuel. Like,
You know
I
better.
literally lifted and coasted and got it to the pit lane entry, and it just stopped about 100 metres away from pit lane. I'm like, no!
So you started the race with not enough fuel and then ran out on the pit lane entry.
Yeah, I've left my qualifying set up on the car and forgot to put extra fuel in for the race. So, I were absolutely devastated. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come along and join. It's on Project Cars too.
Well, I'm interested to know. I mean, I don't know if you have Project Cars 2 your own or any other racing games on the PlayStation, but out of the 4 of us, right? James, he does racing on Project Cars, and he does a lot of playing and watching Star Wars. Steve races on F1 on PlayStation 4. I have raced F1 in the past on PlayStation 4 and more recently on R Factor 2. You, though, have, from what I remember, have raced on R Factor 2, Assetto Corsa, maybe, iRacing and Codemasters PlayStation 4. So, which would you say is the better of the racing games, or which is better in which feature?
Completely depends what you're after. I mean,
naked women with big boobs.
Project Cars, because they have the best graphics. Yeah. But aside from that, it totally depends. I mean, obviously F1 is the F1 titles are shouldn't really be considered a sim. I think R Factor 2, their tire model is a big plus, but it depends a little bit what mod you're running on R Factor 2, because some mods are quite poor. I think if you asked me the same question like a year ago, maybe 2 years, I would have said R Factor 2, but by now I think it's actually iRacing that, in terms of realism, stands out. In terms of graphics, it's always been Project Cars, and I don't know where F1 is really the best at, to be honest.
I don't. Lagging. Best in server lag. I did notice because you're racing in a Dutch TV league, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on F1. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've not seen all of your races. I've seen some bits of your races. And there
Yeah.
was the one at Bahrain where half the grid or most of the grid got disconnected. So basically,
Yeah, that was Bahrain. Yeah,
and
exactly.
you got screwed there big time.
I know. My dad was watching the stream on Twitch, and my dad made an account on Twitch to really rage in the chat, basically.
Because from what I can remember is it was a difficult session, but I think it was about lap 13, 14. You got yourself up to about third or fourth or something like that.
Yeah, I was battling for P2 actually, and then in lap 21 or something, disconnected everyone.
Yeah. And then somebody that hadn't pitted yet when the race restarted manages to restart in the lead of the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So welcome to the world of Codemasters games.
Yeah, but that's something that I already like. I accepted that before I started the competition, so I wasn't even disappointed. I mean, the game has a lot of flaws, and yeah, you have to deal with it really.
What does that say though? That like one of the best sim racers in the world competes in a game that knows is completely flawed and is expecting it to be flawed. I mean, Codemasters should be hanging themselves in shame. I mean, in 2010, for its time, F1 2010 was shit hot. And then every single year, I think there were an odd exception, I think 2012 were alright. Every single year, it just seems to be the same old thing, maybe slightly worse.
Yeah, definitely true. You know what I think is underrated? I think, what's it called? Automobilista is quite an underrated sim.
If you were to say, of all titles available on the PlayStation 4, what do you think's the best for PlayStation 4?
Oh boy. To be honest, I can't answer that because I haven't played them all. I mean, is Forza Xbox only or?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I've seen bits from Gran Turismo. There aren't really any sims on PS, apart from Assetto Corsa maybe. But I think Gran Turismo is quite nice on PS.
And that's because Superstars isn't too bad either.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
And good. There is also Rocket League, and there's a new free game available on PS Plus. It might not be now because it's just changed over months. Was it Track Master or something like that? It's some like doing the loops, and it's like kind of like Wipeout, but you got wheels on the cars instead of no wheels and ships. But yeah, I mean, I must admit, I think the last few Codemasters games I ended up bashing my head against the wall so much. I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to spend my money on them. Now,
to be fair as well on that, Dave, that is one of the main reasons I gave up as being an admin of the league, was because of the quality of the Codemasters games. And it was the hassle that the game came with that made being an admin so much more difficult. It should be, you go for your race, everyone has the race, and the game deals with everything. If someone's crashed into somebody, the game should work out who's at fault. If somebody cuts a corner, the game should work out whether they've gained an advantage or not, and whether they should get a penalty. If someone gets disconnected, don't let them back in again. They've obviously got a shit connection. Just let the you should be able to commentate on a race and view it, and you get your result at the end. Not have to rely on your own team of stewards to work all the result out afterwards.
I remember, I think one of them people that used to do uploads of Codemasters games, I can't remember his name, but he always spoke right quick. It was like, oh well, I'm just going to... He had a right big forehead, cannot remember his name. Anyway, right?
Matty G's got a big forehead.
I think you're right, actually. Matty G.
And I remember him going, oh, well, what's good is that if you lose connection, you don't have to worry because you can just re-upload and your car will keep going round, and, just so that when you're on there with your mates, at least you're still able to go around. I thought, sorry, if you go on, normally you're not racing with your mates having a laugh, you're normally quite intense, wanting to hit every apex. Fair enough, but you should not want to compete in a game like Formula 1. And like I say, they always bang about Formula 1's pinnacle of motorsport. It's probably one of the worst branded actual motorsports in a game. I'm trying to think of another branded motorsport that's in a game.
The thing is, we could go on about the games a lot. I mean, I know Steve said before that the esports series, whether you like it or not, the esports series could potentially force Codemasters into creating a better and better game. Now, I've kind of let this conversation go on and on a little bit because I'm not sure what's going to happen when we start this conversation of the Baku Grand Prix from this weekend, because I think there's only really one place we can start, and I don't know
stupid bloody Dutchman.
Well, I was going to say I don't know which side of the fence people are going to be on, because as much as people might think that Jeroen is actually Kimi's brother, he's not. He is from the Netherlands. So we're going to have to talk about the Red Bulls coming together. For all I know, we could end up in a heated conversation, but you know what, Jeroen, you're the guest, so we'll come to you first on this. The Red Bulls come together. Was it similar to Turkey? Was there anyone that you would blame for it? Your view on that incident at Baku?
Well, what's this thing with this could be a heated conversation? It's like you guys expect me to choose Verstappen side because he's Dutch.
Well, that's a lot of the mentality of people, though, isn't it? They go,
no. Dave, you know me very well. I am not a Verstappen fan at all. I think his mindset is very poor, and it actually, he's a good driver, but his mindset is, in my opinion, something that holds him back quite a bit, because he can't look at himself in the mirror honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I know from the previous race when he had the coming together with Vettel, he went and apologised to him, and that's showed.
Yeah, that was better.
Yeah, I mean, he showed a sign of maturity on that one. With this one,
I don't know. You see, Dave, I would say that was just his PR advisor getting paid for doing their job.
Maybe. I mean, with this incident, I wrote down a lot of notes for this race, and most of it was to do with Red Bulls. And one of the early notes I wrote was, I mean, obviously the Red Bulls were struggling a little bit, but I wrote, this was on lap 4, that the Red Bulls are being, oh, hang on, no, sorry, that's my notes for lap 40, hang on. Lap 6, lap 6, Verstappen dive bomb Ricciardo, which caused Ricciardo to lose a position to Sainz, and I questioned then, are they being too aggressive with each other? And it was kind of a feature throughout of the race where the Red Bulls were getting a little bit too close for comfort. So when I looked at the incident at the end, I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon of, oh, that was Verstappen, he moved twice, he blocked him. I do kind of think that, but I did also question, was Ricciardo at fault as well? And the conclusion I came to was, Ricciardo had to be extremely aggressive, because when he tried to make safe moves earlier, Verstappen was so aggressive on him, it resulted in minor contact or being forced off the road. So Ricciardo didn't really have much of a choice. But I am not a fan of being able to move twice to defend.
Well, he's had it. I mean, the one incident it reminded me of was the one with Kimi Räikkönen at Hungary, where he went and then moved.
Yeah, good point.
And at Spa.
Way too late, and Kimi had nowhere to go other than to go completely opposite direction to the corner. And yeah, like you say, at Spa, that were disgusting at Spa. You should. I mean, I thought they said they were going to clamp down on it, and then they just went, "Oh, I'll tell you what, we'll let him off."
Well, the thing is,
like, no,
I think
make your mind up.
I think after the one at Spa, they did decide they were going to clamp down on it, and it was named as like the Verstappen rule, that you can't do it. And then for this season, it was banned for last season, and for this season, they basically said we're going to sort of lift that ban, so to speak. The waiting for a driver to move and then defend. But that's slightly different to making your defensive move and then going, oh shit, he's gone the other way, move over there. That, to me, I can't see how they've come out with racing incident or no further action. If they think Ricciardo has made a mistake, penalise him. If they think Verstappen's made a mistake, penalise him. The fact that neither have ended the race doesn't make a difference, because, and the reason I say this, it's not just me ranting, is Sirotkin fucked up lap 1, turn 2, caused a bit of mayhem. He's got a grid drop at the next race because of it. So they could have penalised the Red Bulls.
Well, my view on it is quite straightforward. And from Ricardo's view, and I've watched somebody do an analysis on this today on YouTube, and you're saying about the Verstappen rule about seeing which way the guy's going to go behind you and then adjusting your position to block them.
Yeah.
But you can't do that twice, and that's what he did. He positioned his car down the left-hand side. He saw Ricardo going to the right, so he moved right. We saw him going to the left and moved left. That to me is out of order. Now I agree with Dave saying that if both of them were at fault, they could both have got penalties. I mean, the Steward's investigation into it basically said that both drivers were at fault, but no further action. Well, if they're at fault, penalise them.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, what's going to happen? Other drivers are going to do the same in the future.
But this is the thing that always used to piss me off with Mercedes. Whenever Hamilton and Rosberg got together, they never penalised either one. They just went, racing incident because it's between two teammates. It's just like, I know for a fact if it was against another team, there'd be penalties flying left, right and centre.
But when the two Toro Rossos collided in the previous race at China, one of them got a penalty.
Yeah.
So they do penalise teammates. They've showed that they're prepared to do that.
Thing is,
but I don't have a problem with them penalising both of them.
Well, I'm interested to get your own opinion on what I'm going to say next, because I mentioned it after the Chinese Grand Prix, I think it was, when we did the podcast then. And that is, they've come out right and said that they're taking no further action. Jeroen, do you think it would be better if they were to say, and same for any collisions that happen in the race? It sounds like James is moving house at the moment. Do you think it would be better if the stewards came out and said no further action because the driver's out of the race? So a penalty would apply to this driver, but because they're no longer in the race, we don't need to apply it. Do you think as a viewer that would be better than being left with no further action, which makes people think, oh, you can get away with doing all that stuff?
It's a bit of a dangerous one, I think, because what Verstappen did in Baku, I mean, he has done it plenty of times before, but all the time he got away with it. Like was said before already, in Hungary he did the same with Raikkonen, that kind of stuff, but he gets away with it every single time until, like, it seems like this season he doesn't get away with it anymore. I think that even when there is very little or even no contact, you should still penalize it and don't let it go, because I think Verstappen has been, how shall we say it? He crossed that a lot of times already.
Even if he'd been close to that, even if he'd been in a grey area, he'd been on the border of whether it was okay or not. Yeah. There's only so many times he can do it, in my opinion, of it being okay or not, being on the edge.
Yeah.
If he's going to keep doing it, of it being just on the edge, sooner or later they're going to say, look, next time it's going to be a penalty, because you keep doing it on the edge, it's going to be a problem to a driver sooner or later, as we saw in Baku.
Yeah. I would have loved to have heard the team radio or been in a team briefing afterwards, though. I don't know if it'd have been as heated as Vettel Webber when they came together, but I'm sure if either of these guys write a book, it'll be interesting to find out what the conversation was, because Horner did not look happy at all, did he?
Oh no. But I think we're a lot less heated between the drivers than what I expected. But I think the main thing for me was, we have said in the past, Daniel Ricciardo has a tendency from coming from way far back and doing you on brakes.
Yeah.
I think we were on about the time at Monza. I think it was Monza. Down at turn 1, I think we were on Massa or something like that, or
Raikkonen.
Somebody. Raikkonen, yeah. Dive bombed up the inside, managed to make the corner. And we just said, the one time somebody's going to either not be concentrating in the mirrors and they're going to turn in. And even on Danny Ricciardo's side, they haven't even made it to the apex yet.
Yeah.
So I think in Daniel Ricciardo's head, he's probably thinking, well, I was just racing. I technically didn't want to drive into my teammate. My teammate just wanted to use his car as a big shield, basically. But I mean, the main thing for me is race 1, Verstappen spins in Australia, carries on, but doesn't do very well. Race 2, Bahrain, smashes into Lewis Hamilton, gets a puncture out of the race. Race 3, where was that?
China.
As a smash with Vettel.
Yeah.
Race 4, as a smash with Ricciardo.
Is it Bottas next?
I'm sorry, but Ricciardo cannot go into a meeting with Christian Horner and have Christian Horner going, you're both at fault. I'd be like, look, mate, I've won a race last time out. I was doing quite well today. He's the one that's like getting in incidents in every single race. I think you should have a go at him. But I think with Daniel Ricciardo being out of contracts at the end of the year, he's a lot more flexible, thinking, well, I've got no stress because as long as I keep performing and know I'm doing a good job, teams are going to come and want me. And Verstappen, really, this season, he's just making himself look shit.
I think it's possible the pressure's getting.
Oh, I was loving it. I loved it when Carlos Sainz nearly did both of them. Oh, I wanted Carlos Sainz to get in front of Verstappen. Because I was looking back at some footage of when I were at the Melbourne Grand Prix and Sainz and Verstappen were both at Toro Rosso. And even then, when I was watching the footage, I remembered, I completely forgot, but when I was watching the video footage, I forgot that went through. And then, I think he ended up spinning in the second to last corner, like almost drove into the back of Sainz. And I think that was a bit of a signal of when the pressure's really on against the teammate, he doesn't like it because all his career he's been the one to trounce people.
I mean, there's no doubt in that Max Verstappen has got ability, but as I'm sure Jeroen can appreciate, Steve can appreciate, James can, and I can. With ability, you also need experience because it's experience that allows you to maximise your ability. Quick question to you, Jeroen. What was your highlight of the race?
I disagree on that, by the way.
All right, go on then.
Part with the experience. It depends on how you...
It depends on how much porn you watch. It can go this way.
I was going to say
at any
something
point.
serious. I was going to say, I think it depends what your approach is, and I think Verstappen's approach is poor. I mean, he will never look at himself and say, I did this wrong or I did that wrong, and he will never probably learn. And then you can build up a lot of experience in that kind of stuff. But I don't think he will ever learn. Really.
You could say Grosjean is now very experienced, but he's still shit.
Exactly. He hasn't learned anything.
No, he hasn't, has he?
I mean, if people are supposed to learn from the mistakes, he should have learnt a lot by now, but he hasn't.
Exactly, and that's it. And he can drive for 5 years from now on, and he will still probably do the same if he doesn't change his mindset.
Race. He started dead last, and he got himself into a decent position.
Oh no!
Ericsson hit me.
Icing on cake. That.
Oh, I couldn't believe it when he said that. I was like, hang on, did he just say that somebody hit him? There was no one. I have seen today. Just to quickly mention as well. Apologies to any listeners if there's any problems with the live stream. I did read today that he came out and explained what happened with the crash. Just to let you know, James, it's very noisy on your end at the minute. That's all right. One of Grosjean came out and obviously he apologised and that spun him into the wall. I mean,
nonsense, absolute complete nonsense.
Now the thing is, okay, Jeroen, but like you've said, with Grosjean, he's not new to it, and that kind of stuff shouldn't be happening.
I have no words for Grosjean. I think he's the worst driver on the whole grid. I don't know. He should stick to eating French baguette, but not racing.
I can think of a worse one.
Does his name begin with a K?
Well, he's a bit of a twat, but I wouldn't say he's the worst driver. I think the worst driver on the grid currently is Ericsson.
Well, Ericsson's kind of been... Well, actually, Ericsson's a very good driver. He was able to hit Grosjean and when he was nowhere near him and still managed to go past, so he's very special.
He used Grosjean to turn the car.
The thing is, I actually think, right, I mean, you could argue a number of drivers aren't that good at the moment, but having seen the footage of what Kevin Magnussen did to Gasly...
It's Dan-esque.
Yeah. Now, Jeroen won't know who
That
he
is
is,
terrible.
but have you seen it, Jeroen? The footage?
Yeah, I have.
Where...
Yeah, but I think Magnussen is a lot like Ricciardo, but Ricciardo has got it a lot of times under control. Like, he sometimes dive bombs, but he manages to make it work because he has got everything in control. When Magnussen does the same, he hasn't got it in control, and he will make contact with someone or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. As something I've mentioned before, when Ricciardo's making his moves, he's not locking wheels, he's not out of control. But Magnussen, I think even when he's in control, it looks like he's not in control. I mean,
no, that is Stroll, because Stroll wiggles the wheel the whole time. Have you seen that, by the way? It's like he's so excited to drive, he wiggles the wheel the whole time. It's really weird.
It's probably like, oh, what happens if I move this that way? Oh, it goes that way. What happens if I move it the other way? Oh, it goes that way. I mean, well, for me...
It does it to keep the tires up temperature, I think.
I don't. I have no... Stroll shouldn't be on the grid. Ericsson shouldn't be on the grid. Magnussen shouldn't be on the grid.
To be fair, Stroll was quite good this weekend. He was alright.
Well, he was better than his teammate, that's for sure. Sirotkin...
He was better than the first 3 rounds, yeah.
Yeah, Sirotkin, so far this season, hasn't shown any reason as to why they put him in that car.
Wait, here is one for you guys. When was it? I think 2016. It was Kvyat who was kicked out of Red Bull for making a few collisions. Yes, exactly. Should they do now the same to Verstappen or not? Because Verstappen has gone across the border, across the limit a lot of times as well. Why is he not being kicked out like Kvyat was?
It's a
Good question.
It is a good question. I'd say it's because Verstappen has more ability than Kvyat.
I think as well it's because Verstappen is the only current driver in contract with the full Red Bull team. I think if for example, Daniel Ricciardo had another 3 years on his contract, and like Verstappen were going to be out at the end of the year, they might do something. But they know that Verstappen, when he's on his day, is pretty much almost. I don't want to say unbeatable, but I'd probably say up there.
Okay, yeah.
I'd probably say the reason they might not do it to Verstappen is because Verstappen has had race wins. I think if he hadn't have had race wins, then they may have thought about it. But if you were going to go down that route and go, okay, right, it's time to give Verstappen a little bit of a break. Gasly, is he ready? I don't know.
That's the difference, though, isn't it? When
Brendan
Kvyat was
Hartley,
having
hang on, Brendan Hartley, is he ready? No. Carlos Sainz, he could go straight in. He could go straight into that team, and Red Bull have said that if one of the Red Bull seats is empty at the end of this season, i.e. Ricciardo goes, then Carlos Sainz will be in the Red Bull. You've got to take the driver from Renault, so put him into the Red Bull. Now Renault are looking for a new driver. Who are they going to pick? Because, yeah. Who's that going to be?
Kvyat.
Well, he's at Ferrari.
But he's ready to jump in a seat, unless they were to go with. Actually, no. It's more likely to be Robert Kubica.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think it can't be far away from Williams getting to the point of going, look, you know what? We've got one guy who can't get past lap 1 in the race. I mean, I haven't looked at how many laps Sirotkin has done in the races so far this season. But they've got to be scratching their head thinking at Williams, okay, at what point do we make a switch as well? I mean, okay, Jeroen, would you drop Verstappen down? Answer your own question.
Well, no, but I think Fiat would have done more up until this point, so after 4 rounds. I think he would have scored more points than Verstappen has done up until this stage. But Verstappen has obviously got quite a good future ahead of him, probably. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, if he has his day, he's a very fast driver. But in terms of racing itself, race.
Red Bull all day long.
wait. Here's another one, right? We're talking about switches. What if Raikkonen is getting quite old? He maybe he could be retiring at the end of this year.
Yep.
Is it too early for Leclerc to step in?
You know what? Before this weekend, I'd have been tempted to say yes, but he was my driver of the day before it was announced on TV.
Astonishing. Yeah.
And I think teams like Toro Rosso, Ferrari, Williams have got to be looking at someone like him and going, hang on a minute, he's in a car that should be ending up laps behind, and he's finished what, P6? I think it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, he probably would have been lapped if there's no safety car at the race.
Maybe, yeah. Well, he finished P6, but apart from the safety cars, legitimately he had a very, very good race. But then you compare that to the likes of Stroll, Sorokin, even how Verstappen is performing, then you could potentially say maybe he is ready. I don't know if Ferrari would give it him though. But if you're Sebastian Vettel, and this is a point I've made before, if you're Vettel, you don't want Ricciardo as your teammate, you don't want Hamilton as your teammate, you probably wouldn't want Bottas, you won't want Max Verstappen, but you might take a Leclerc who perhaps you can just bully a little bit and make sure he knows where his position is.
Just had an idea. Mercedes clearly want somebody who's going to push Hamilton to the limit, a bit like what Rosberg used to do. Mm-hmm. And with Bottas, it's nice, it's comfortable, but I personally think that Bottas, he's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but I think he's not 100% on the limit of Lewis Hamilton. I've got to say, beginning of this season, Lewis Hamilton has not looked very, very strong. But once he gets in his stride, he'll be quite decent. But what I'm trying to say is Mercedes really want somebody who's going to push Hamilton like mad. And I could imagine either Verstappen or Ricciardo in the Mercedes, and Bottas, as lovely as he is, I can see him being like a Barrichello. Lovely guy, but just never quite getting there because he's just a bit too nice. But I could see Ferrari going, you know what, we're getting rid of Raikkonen because he's getting a bit old now. But Bottas would be a perfect fit for Ferrari, wouldn't it? Because Vettel would be happy because he'd have
the beating of him,
number one status, and he'd be basically there to just help set up the car and come P2. I think that's possibly what might end up happening with Bottas. I might be completely wrong.
Well, having scored the predictions so far of the races we've done this season,
it's a done deal then, isn't it?
You're completely wrong. I mean, driver switches will be interesting because it is being reported that this is Alonso's last year in Formula 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But what I will say is, how the fuck did Fernando Alonso A, get that McLaren back to the pits on lap 1, and B, get it all the way to 7th place afterwards? That car should have been out of the race.
Because he's a good driver, and unfortunately we don't have enough of them in Formula 1. We're full of absolute dickheads like Kevin Magnussen.
With his wonky wing mirrors. Yeah, so I mean, could Ferrari, could Mercedes take an Alonso and give him that final chance of running for a championship? Because I can't see it happening at McLaren.
Ferrari is Catty Nell's chance, never. with Ferrari the way they are, they'd have to be very desperate. I think Mercedes-Benz, it would be a dream, but like Hamilton Alonso for one last time. But I think it'd only be like a 1-year deal. But I don't know if Mercedes would be. I think that's probably what they want, but at the same time they know the baggage that comes with Alonso. But it would make a lot of money.
True. The thing is, though, I mean, to be fair, Raikkonen has been performing well, but he's also had some bad luck. He should have had a pole position.
Been better than Vettel all this season.
Yeah, I mean, he should have had pole position. Fucked up on one corner, cost him pole position. I mean, he ended up in the pits, lap one, and managed to recover. I mean, for him to get onto the podium was absolutely fantastic. Okay. Has anybody got a specific point of the race they want to discuss before I do a quick run through some of the notes that I made about the race?
I was going to mention.
I was going to mention.
I think before we even get to the race, we were talking earlier about shitting ourselves. Gasly, Jesus! I think if I were in that car, I would have completely soiled myself.
You're on about.
I'm surprised I didn't when I watched it.
Yeah, needs a fucking clip round the ear roll or firing, because he should have made his driver fully aware of the cars that were coming. And to be fair, Hartley should have given plenty of room. Now, Steve, I know you talked to me a little bit about this as well. 'Cause you were watching how some of the drivers were going through there in practice.
Yeah, and in practice, before I'd seen it in this instance in quali, what I'd noticed in practice was, even though it's a left-hand corner and you would normally approach a left-hand corner to the right-hand side to take the path of least resistance across the apex, a lot of the drivers are approaching to the left-hand side and then cutting across to the right to straight line the braking zone because there's a bit of a kink in the wall there.
Yeah.
And because of that, Brendan Hartley was kind of like stuck right on that point on the racing line where he was on the racing line in the middle of the road. Now, it could have been to the right or it could have been to the left, but to be fair, whichever side he was, it was going to affect Gasly's lap. But being in the middle was a bad place to be at that speed because the driver behind doesn't know which way he's going to go. That's why I use it as a defensive move.
I mean... Fair play to Gasly. His reactions there were absolutely phenomenal. Did you see that? Any thoughts on that? Would you sack them both?
Of course not. But I don't know. I don't really know what to think other than to give compliments to not Hartley, to Gasly. No, not to Hartley. To Gasly, obviously. To Gasly.
Well.
Did you guys speak about Perez already, by the way, or not?
No, not yet. No. If you want
what do you guys think about Perez? Should he, get another chance at the top team, or?
I'll let James answer that.
I was going to say I'm a bit of a fan of Ocon last year, but that move in Baku, I mean, he needs his head screwing on, and so does the chap from Force India, the bloke who were on the pit wall. What was his name? The American sounding chap.
Otmar Zafnauer.
Otmar Saf. Yeah. It doesn't sound an American name. But yeah, he was going, well, Raikkonen, I don't know what he was thinking there. Well, I know what he was thinking. He was thinking, I'm up the inside. And he was probably thinking, I'm entitled to a car's width. And got absolutely nothing. So I don't understand what on earth Ocon was thinking at that point. I mean, he must have known he were up his inside. I just don't understand where he thinks the driver's going to disappear. So.
But what about Perez?
Back to Perez, yeah. He does got. I think Perez is one of these drivers where he's really, really good on his day. And unfortunately,
the rest of the time is a dick.
Well, I've got to say, in the past, he has seemed a bit of a muppet, especially when it comes to media talking to him like as if we're thick.
We are.
But on the other hand, I really, really rate Hulkenberg. But then at moments where he really, really needs to shine, he always goes tits up. I mean, I remember he crashed. He crashed at Baku last year. He broke the track rod on the front right suspension, and then this year he has that rear lockup and sort of cracked the rear wishbone into Tech Pro barrier. I just feel a bit like. I don't know, them moments where I want him to perform and really, really show what he's got, something goes wrong, or he just cracks at that moment. And unfortunately, that's what the top teams are looking for, somebody who can keep going, even though, you know, like what we said, like what Alonso did, where the car was completely fucked, and he still managed to get it in points.
Yeah.
That's what top teams are looking for.
I think with Perez, I would say I've never doubted the fact that he has ability. I mean, you look back over his career, his ability to take tyres long and keep pace was phenomenal in his earlier days. The move to McLaren, it didn't work for whatever reasons, and whatever reports come out of McLaren about it was his attitude that was one of the big reasons. You could sort of maybe potentially ignore some of that. At Force India, he seems to get on well there, but my biggest issue with Sergio Perez is, if you're his teammate, you can't trust him. Because if you're wheel to wheel, he's going to have no problem blocking you, hitting you, cutting you off, forcing himself into you. It happened at China, although I can't remember if it was Ocon squeezing Perez, but Ocon's kind of, because of last season, is in that situation a bit like Ricciardo is. Ricciardo knows he has to be extra aggressive against Verstappen because Verstappen does it to him, and it's similar with Ocon and Perez. And I don't think it should be like that as teammates. Okay, yes, you've got a championship to try and win, but let's face it, 19 of you ain't got a fucking chance, so there's only going to be one champion. So for the rest of the time, compete against the opposition as tough as you can, but when it comes to your teammate, don't be a dick. And that happens too much with Perez, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, Perez sort of damaged his reputation last year. When he were up against Hulkenberg, he seemed to have a bit more respect for Hulkenberg, but then, like I say, young Ocon came in and he just sort of treated him a bit like crap, really. And then he was going, I think it was just comments like where he was saying, my team, my team and I, like as if he owns the team. It's just like, well, have you heard yourself?
His sponsors were putting a lot of money into it, so he probably did own the team. Yeah. One thing I will say is, as negative as I have just been about Perez there, what I will say is, he also had to pit lap 1 and ended up on the podium. So you don't do that without having some form of ability, and he did have a fantastic drive to be able to end up in that position. But I can't see him making that. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if I couldn't see him ever going back to McLaren. I can't see him ending up in a Mercedes. But there's something that just makes me.
It used to be a Ferrari. It was a Ferrari youngster.
Yeah, well,
it came through the ranks at Ferrari.
I was about to say something. I could see him in at Ferrari. Because if you're the boss at Ferrari, you go, well, if we get Vettel on pole and we can get Perez in second, Perez can wipe out everyone behind him and Vettel will win.
Well, then you might as well have Max Verstappen at Ferrari. They'll do the same.
No, because Verstappen might have a chance of beating Vettel. So, Jeroen, again, you've asked the question, so now you've got to answer it.
Oh, shit.
That's one of the rules of this. If you're going to ask a question, you've got to be prepared to answer it yourself.
You know what? I don't know what to think of Perez. I think there is something about him. I think that he misses to be able to drive in the top team. I think he feels at home driving with Force India. Just let him be there and enjoy and have fun. But I don't know what it is, but I feel like he is missing something to be able to compete at the top. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Okay.
Just he seems to be right in place in Force India, so why not stay there?
True. I mean,
Yep.
that can happen sometimes. I mean, it happens in football. Players will move to a team it doesn't work. I mean, Wilfred Zaha moved from Crystal Palace to Man United, didn't work, went back to Crystal Palace, and he became a better player. It can happen sometimes. The mentality of a person can have just as big as an effect as the equipment that they have got. Okay, right, I'm going to thrash through some of the notes that I've made about the Baku Grand Prix. Feel free to jump in at any point that you want to mention something. We have also got our predictions to still get on to. So here we go. There's quite a few notes here, but here we go. Number one, what did you think of the Halo graphics? Nobody's saying anything, so they all think it's shit.
No, to be fair, it was all right, but I thought it was funny when the graphics stayed on the screen when the camera angle changed.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the graphics were there where
Yeah,
the
that's
Halo was
right.
meant to be.
Yeah.
It was a different camera angle.
Oh god. I liked the graphics, but at the same time, it was kind of one of those. Oh, you know what? The Halo looks shit. Right, let's put some graphics on there to make it look better.
Some bright lights on
Yeah.
it.
But to be fair, I did kind of like it. Now, James is a hater of the look of the Halo. So, James, come on, what did you think of the Halo graphics?
Shit.
There you go. Okay. Ocon crashed out lap 1, turn 3 against Raikkonen, as James mentioned. I think that was Ocon's fault. Sorokin crashed out on turn 2, braked too late, and hit cars ahead of him. Now, when it came to working out who crashed out first, it got a little bit complicated, but I'll mention about that on our predictions later on. What did you think about Hulkenberg, though, squeezing Sorokin into
Alonso?
Yeah,
Alonso.
into Alonso, yeah.
That was a nice.
It's very easily done though when you're 3 wide, but you may not know that you're 3 wide because you're thinking you've just
Yeah.
got that one car to,
Yeah.
you know, that you've got to play with, and then
Yeah, I might not realise Alonso were there. Because I did feel a bit sorry for Sorokin at that point. I were a bit like, he hadn't really know where to go other than brake.
I think even if it'd have
And even-
braked, it'd have hit the
you'd
rear
probably-
wheel of Sorokin.
yeah.
Not Sorokin,
Yeah.
of Hulkenberg. So, James, the driver that you rate, we all think fucked up there, yeah?
Well, to say he had a gearbox penalty, I've got to say, I'll give him benefit of doubt on that. I've never seen Hulkenberg do something intentionally like Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of ambiguity with that move with Hulkenberg and Sorokin and Alonso. But that move with Magnussen and whoever the hell it was, I don't understand. I just don't understand how. Why is the black flag never shown for dickheads anymore? I just don't understand that.
You are right though. I mean, I do remember thinking back to the days of when like Mansell was racing and you had black and white flags, warning or black flags. And if I remember rightly, there was also someone that was being waved black flags, and he was like, "No, fuck it, I'm going to keep going. I don't think you're right. I'm going to keep fucking going." I wonder when the last time a black flag was actually used.
in Formula 1.
Yeah.
I bet it was 90s.
Right, well, while
It'd
Steve...
have been, it probably was Silverstone, Michael Schumacher, when he was given a penalty to, and he served it on the last lap of the race.
Well, this is how surprising it is that it hasn't been used, because I mean I don't think Maldonado ever got one, and he should have had about 50.
There's rumours of him potentially coming back, and is it his nephew? His nephew, I think, is in GP2 or GP3.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, and had a massive crash at one of the early races. Okay, back. Go on.
The last black flag was in 2007.
2000? Oh, not that. Who got that then?
It was for Felipe Massa and Juan Pablo Montoya. No, it was it was Massa
Yeah.
and
Montoya
it was Massa and Fisichella, because they exited the pits on the red light. That was it.
Oh. but you can drive like a dickhead and you can still see the checkered flag. But anyway, interesting. See your own. He may be drinking, but he can still use a computer. He just can't read what's on the screen.
Everyone can use Google, right? I mean, that's not really. You call me a magician, but that's not really magic.
True. Okay, back to the notes then. Sainz had a really good start until his ultra softs went off. Hulkenberg had a good start as well. Gasly gained 8 places at the start of the race, so he was on for a great race, which is why he was even more pissed off at Magnussen. But now my next note gets on to the safety car, because the safety car was out until lap 5. Should it have been red flagged straight away?
Yes. Because I'm going to say what I said last time, and then we'll let Jeroen say why he thinks different. I've said that basically, if the safety car is going to be out for, you don't always know how long the safety car is going to be out for, especially with Grosjean having a separate incident, but it's a spectator sport at the end of the day. The spectators don't want to just see laps passing by while under the safety car. Wouldn't it just be safer to bring the cars to a standstill? Now, if the incident is on the start-finish straight, stop them in the pit lane. Sort the incident out, send the cars back round, line up on the start grid, and then let them go again from a standing start.
Yeah, I think we said like maximum 3 laps on the safety car, and then if it's clear it's going to be any longer than that, you pull them all in a pit lane and you wait there.
Okay.
Yeah, that. I think that. Yeah.
Oh, you never know if the baguette is going to crash, right?
That is true.
I mean, after he crashed, I think I would have put the red flag. Yes, but
yeah. I mean, I was
to pull a red flag for every single crash that's happening, like for example after Verstappen and Ricciardo crashed. I mean, just bring out the safety car maybe for 3 laps max, like we said, and then race again. But yeah. I think I would have put a red flag though when Grosjean crashed, especially around Baku. If it's Monaco, that's a good point as well. I think if it's Monaco, keep the safety car out because they will clear the car within a lap. But at Baku, there was a truck coming, which had like Allah on top of the truck. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
And they take like I don't know how long.
The second safety car. I mean, I was going to get onto that as well. The second safety car came out on lap 40. Grosjean hit the wall, I think it was lap 43 or lap 44, and the safety car was out for 7 laps. Now, with that one, with the first crash, as you said, lap 40, the Red Bulls, I can see why they would have potentially brought a safety car out for that, because just waving yellows at turn 1 may not have been enough, because if anyone has a brake problem or Magnussen does something he normally does, you could end up with fatalities. But like you said, as soon as Grosjean had hit that wall, that for me would have been bang, red flag. And there's a few... Go on.
Yeah, again, if it's at Monaco, I would say keep the safety cars for another lap, but at Baku they are so slow, I don't know why I would have pulled a red flag.
Yeah, well, I would have pulled a red flag, one, because a car has crashed under...
and a medical car.
Yeah, a medical car coming on track. But a car's crashed under the safety car, so when cars are meant to be going round safely, a car's crashed, red flag the fucker, because something's gone wrong. Whether it's driver stupidity or what, it doesn't matter. But also, straight away, when I saw where that car was it not on the kink just before where Gasly missed Hartley in qualifying, right?
It's like the apex before.
Yeah, an apex or 2 before. And straight away I was thinking, well, I don't think they've got cranes or anything down there, and I'm pretty sure it's solid walls. So at that point, straight away I'm thinking, right, if that's vehicle on track, red flag it. And then to see the truck come in, it's like, I don't like the looks of that, Straight away I'm thinking, oh God, please don't somebody do anything stupid here. And Hamilton actually said, when the safety car was coming in, he said he should have red flagged that. The corner of the rear of the truck was sticking out a bit, and you look at the height of it, the height of the bits of the back of the truck, halo or not, that's causing some damage if you fucking hit it.
Yeah,
you think about how Maria Della got her injury from it in the back. Okay, the tailgate was down, but it is the same height as the back end of a lorry at the end of the day.
But yeah, so I mean, I would have pulled a red flag on that one for certain. And it does sort of hint on the fact I mentioned last week, if we end up with 3 races out of 4 this season that are affected by safety car, is there something wrong in Formula 1? Should something be done different? Maybe we can talk about that a little later on.
Well, I want to know what your own thinks about the fact that the races this season, you could say the results have been changed because of the safety cars. Is that part of Formula 1 and we have to accept it? Or do you think that Formula 1 should look into it and do something different?
No, part of Formula 1. Because I think at the end, how many races is it this season? Like 20 maybe?
21.
Or 21. At the end of the day, I think if you want to be a champion, then a few races where you have a safety car shouldn't really matter. I think at the end of the season, still the best teams will be at the top. The results were maybe a little bit affected by the safety car and whatnot, but I don't think it affects a 21 race long season. So just keep it as it is. It's part of the sport.
We'll see if you think the same at the end of the season.
If every race was safety car affected, it would.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That's the point. It's 21 races. Not every race is gonna have a safety car like this. We're gonna have boring races as well, no doubt.
Yeah, that is true. On to some more of the notes. Verstappen dive bomb Ricciardo on lap 6, causing Ricciardo to lose a place to Sainz as well. I'll ask you, Jeroen, this because obviously you're here. When you're overtaking your teammate, should it cross your mind at any point what effect you're going to have on them as to whether they lose any places?
No, in my opinion, no.
Right, so Jeroen says,
Same treatment.
Fuck the team.
Same treatment. No. Same treatment as everyone else. And if you are a respectful driver and you are, respectful to everyone else, then you will also be to your teammate, and there will be no issue.
Yeah. Okay. Sainz didn't have enough top speed to pass Verstappen early on, and then Sainz did manage to get past Verstappen, then Hulkenberg passed Ricciardo and Verstappen, and then Hulkenberg fucked up, as we know, hitting the wall out of the race, as James mentioned, on for something good, and cocks it up. Let's see. Raikkonen, DRS issues. First time we've had DRS issues for a long time in a race that I know of. And I don't know if you know, guys, but a few drivers were investigated after the race for improper usage of DRS.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
Were it including Perez?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Now, I haven't seen anything yet to say that there's going to be any post-race penalties. Go on. I would have thought by now there'd be nothing.
No further action because when the drivers used the DRS, they didn't make an overtake. But just to clarify on that as well as what I read, obviously there were problems with the DRS. Now some teams picked up on this problem and manually switched. The drivers noticed that it wasn't working and manually entered whatever it is on their steering wheel to override the FIA system so that they can manually operate. That's the key. Certain drivers manually overrid the system before the FIA deemed there was an issue with the system. So it wasn't that they used it illegally in places that they shouldn't have done or pressed it too early. It was the fact that they realised there was a fault with it, dealt with that problem, and started using the DRS manually before the FIA said the drivers are to use it manually because there's a fault with their system.
I think in that case you can't penalise someone for that.
Further action.
If it's supposed
fair play.
Yeah, I mean if it's supposed to be available to you, and it's fucking up and it's not working properly, there's absolutely no problem with that. But what I do want to know is, James, how did you manage to get over to Baku to put a tree on the track?
Oh, well, I was trying to lob a few more branches on, but I don't know. I just, I tell you,
it's got a lot of wind.
It's hard work. I got myself down B&Q, and then, it's a fair way away, to be fair. This was it. I heard it were in Europe, so when I realised it actually wasn't in Europe,
but it is in Europe.
That's it isn't. For this ex-Soviet Union.
Isn't it something I didn't hear? I know they went into it, I think, on Sky, but isn't it something to do with part of Baku is in Europe? and part of it isn't, or something like that.
No,
like
Azerbaijan is primarily in Europe. Baku, in the part of Azerbaijan, is in Asia.
Then how can they class it as being in Europe?
They haven't this year. It's the Baku Grand Prix.
I mean, that's like saying, oh, Netherlands, it's part of Germany. No, it's fucking not.
Oh, stop.
I knew that. I knew that I'd get a reaction. Okay, lap 20, Hamilton and Vettel trading places, but on not trading places, trading fastest laps. But on lap 23, Hamilton sounding stressed on the microphone after locking up because the Mercs seemed to not have anywhere near enough pace. Were the Mercs struggling, or were Ferrari just good?
No, I think it's just Hamilton that when he's not leading the race, he likes to moan. He's getting worse than Grosjean for moaning. He just it seems to think that, or it comes across as that he wants to find what's wrong with whatever, but moans about it instead of just getting on with the job.
Driving the tools that he's got.
Yeah.
One of the keys to it, though, and maybe you, Jeroen, can perhaps give a view on this. When Hamilton and Vettel pitted, Vettel was 1.6 seconds faster on his outlap than Hamilton. Any ideas why?
No.
Because the Ferrari warms the tyres up into the operating window quicker.
I don't think so, because Raikkonen was struggling quite a lot as well on the softs. He was actually quite slow, in my opinion, on the softs.
Oh, maybe it's that flappy paddle thing that Vettel's got on his steering wheel.
That's it. Yeah.
I have got news about that. I have got news about the flappy paddle, but I'll get to that in a bit, maybe.
What I found interesting, by the way, speaking of those pit stops, why did they not pit Vettel on the ultra softs as well? Why didn't they stretch it? Because, in my opinion, the softs were slower than Warren's super softs.
Yes, they were. Nobody seemed to be able to get them turned on.
Yeah, exactly. So why did they not stay out? Because they had the second car. They had Raikkonen on the softs, who was also going slower by like 15 seconds in I don't know how many laps compared to the Red Bulls in front of him. And they were also on the Warren super soft. So I don't know. I found it a little bit weird. The ultimate strategy to me seemed to be super soft and then go to the ultra soft.
Was it a mistake then by Ferrari to have only taken one set of super softs for the weekend?
I think it's difficult to say whether it's a mistake or not, because they have to choose their tyre so far in advance that it's they're basically guessing. I think personally, I'd be tempted to go, look, let's at least have two of each tyre, because then we've got two of each tyre in case we have any problem. Because something they mentioned during qualifying, Paul di Resta mentioned it actually, is that with them only having the one set of super soft tyre, if someone was to qualify on them in Q2, right, and get through to Q3, but has locked one of them up so bad, they can't use that set of tyres and they can't replace that single tyre because they actually don't have any other super soft tyres to use.
Yeah. But what surprised me was the super soft was the middle compound for the race.
Yeah.
So that potentially should be the best, your better option for a race tyre. It's not the hardest tyre, it's not the softest tyre. The softest tyre should be your quali tyre. Your hardest tyre should be basically, if you need to pit early, you need to go long, or you want to stretch for a one stop, or most races are one stops now anyway. But your middle compound tyre should be your more favourable tyre, because it should be the tyre that's going to be closer in the window, because it's the one between the two. I mean, if it's too hot, the harder compound isn't going to work. If it's too cold, the softer compound's not going to work. But the one in the middle is always going to be somewhere thereabouts.
I mean, the tyres are an interesting one. So, James, question for you now. Because on lap 35, Ricciardo finally manages to get past Verstappen with a nice overtake, and then pits. Right, because he's the leading car. He then pits, and you're thinking, right, okay, he's going to get an overcut on Verstappen. But no, he can't. Well, no, he's in front of him, so it's an overcut. You can't undercut someone if you're in front of them.
No, but you pit first, it's an undercut.
Well,
Yeah.
I call it an overcut because you're in front. So I'm not arguing. That's just the way we're doing it. It's fucked up, but so is the terminology. All right. Ricardo pitted first, should have gone faster, but didn't. So James, explain that one. What was going through Ricardo's mind? He spent half the race trying to get past his fucking pain in the backside teenager teammate to finally get past him, pit, and then he's fucked because Verstappen comes out ahead of him.
Didn't he mention something about traffic on the outlap, which you'd think with Red Bull they'd have worked that out whether there'd been traffic or not. But I'm pretty sure he did mention that he had traffic, which was why when he came round he was nowhere near.
Well, maybe they knew he would have had traffic, but he's called the pit stop because he's got ahead of Verstappen.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think it's the low temperatures, to be honest.
Yeah.
Could be.
But I mean, I don't know. I've got to say, I were expecting Ricciardo to be like miles ahead at the pit exit, and for it to be so comfortable for Verstappen seemed a bit odd. But like I say, it was just one of them things that probably added fuel to the fire to make Ricciardo want to get past even more. But
what I don't get though is the two Red Bulls. It did seem like Ricciardo was the faster driver of the two on the day. Surely Red Bull would have been better off just saying to Max, let him go.
Yeah, but they always do that thing where we let our drivers race, and then they go, oh well, they've got to go and apologise to all the families and staff members and kids and all sorts of people, like, as if they're going to even give a shit. They're not even going to give a shit. They're just going to be like, oh, sorry. When's the next race?
Not being daft though, Max Verstappen set a precedent in his Toro Rosso time. Don't ask me to move out of the way and give him the place because I won't fucking do it. So I don't think you'll ever really hear Red Bull say it unless there is a massive difference of compounds or tyre wear. Or something like that. Okay, question to all three of you, because I wrote down here Bottas went just about longer than anybody. Good drive or just got lucky?
It was planned. I think he went as long as possible, hoping for a safety car, and it worked for him. And having Mercedes being caught out in the past with the safety car, they were edging their bets for a safety car. So I think it was well planned.
James, your own any thoughts on Bottas?
No, I think it's lucky.
Yeah, we're a bit like, I think they were kind of a bit like, well, Vettel did this in Australia, we'll try it and see what happens. And because there's a high probability of a safety car, especially with that castle. I was surprised that my prediction didn't come true with a red flag there. Nobody went
to look
there.
on that one.
Exactly.
You were going to mention something. You think it's luck, just luck, or?
Yeah, but you always need to be lucky to win. If you don't have a lot of luck, then it's very hard to win. So.
Yeah, it's a little bit like sex. If you're going to do it bareback,
here
you'll be
we go
lucky
again.
if you end up without kids.
Yes. Always a disease.
Yeah, that is true. What would you rather have? Children or a disease? I'm not
going to say anything, actually. I was very close.
Steve probably shouldn't say anything. He's got children. James could probably answer that one.
Can I actually answer it?
No.
Yeah, go on, Steve, yeah.
I think a disease might have been easier to manage.
Has everyone ever had a disease?
No.
No, I haven't.
Hey, good boy.
Steve hasn't answered. That means yes.
The only disease I ever caught was my ex-girlfriend.
Oh,
shots fired.
For me, it was just RSI, repetitive strain injury. So it's not a disease.
For me, it's racing with Dave Paling.
Yeah. You get anally examined when racing with me. Maybe that's what it should be with the Ricardo Verstappen. There should be a picture. It's just Ricardo anally examined Verstappen.
Well, we all know what your initials stand for, don't we, DP?
I was going to say deep pockets then, but they're really not. They're only deep because there's no bottom to them, because there's nothing in there. Okay, I got to on my notes, kind of got to the point where, okay, now the Red Bulls have come together. We've discussed that a bit anyway, and whether the safety car was out too long, whether it should have been a red flag or not. An interesting restart from it as well. But do you know what? Stupidly, while the safety car was going round, I'm making a couple of notes, like the drivers changing to ultra soft tyres. Bottas now leads, Raikkonen now P4. It did help a lot of drivers with the fact that they had to go through the pit lane. But then I wrote, Grosjean doing well, P6 from last. Literally within 10 seconds I heard, oh no! And he was in the fucking wall under the safety car. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. So yeah. I can't see him being at Haas next season. That's for sure. But
yeah, I can see him in at Ferrari.
Oh, fucking hell. Really? Surely not.
Oh, no! Or even Benny just ripping his hair out. French bastard.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up back at Renault.
That's why he went there. That's why he went to Haas. He thought it was going to be a Ferrari driver.
A route to Ferrari, yeah. Well, if he ends up being a Ferrari test driver, we know he'll never race in Formula 1 again. Maybe that's why Ferrari have taken on Kvyat as a reserve driver. It's so that never again will he ever be in a Formula 1 car and be able to crash into Sebastian Vettel. But you never know. Okay, great restart from Valtteri Bottas after the safety car.
Yeah.
Vettel, I like the fact that he went for the overtake, but he ain't no Daniel Ricciardo.
No, but do you know what I thought was funny? It was when he realised that Bottas was ahead of him. How come he's ahead of me? Because pretty much exactly the same as what Hamilton said with Vettel in Australia.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
What I found funny was after he'd gone for the overtake, he locked up his brakes, he got on the radio, and this is what I heard him say: "I've got a big flip flop." He was trying to say, I've got a big flat spot, but it sounded like flip flop. But that's just all that stuck in my head from that one. But okay, here's a question for you, right? We've mentioned before, it's been mentioned today as well, that Ricciardo, when he's making his late moves, is under control and he doesn't really ever seem to lock up. Vettel goes for one and he locks it up big time. Could it just been cold tyres, or could it be something to do with the way that the Red Bull brakes compared to the Ferrari? Because Ricciardo's able to do it all the time.
No,
Vettel's... Go on, James.
I just think Vettel were just desperate, and I think they're the moments where Vettel... I mean, Hamilton sometimes has fairly bad luck, or he doesn't even look to be anywhere near the pace, and then 80% of the time, he's almost unbeatable, and you're like, oh, bloody hell. And Hamilton, he's probably looking at championship standings now thinking, how the fuck have I done that? I've not even made an effort compared to usual.
Yeah, well... I didn't watch it on Sky. I watched it on Channel 4, and they interviewed Vettel afterwards. And the lockup was a bit to do with the tyres being cold and not quite the right pressure after being behind the safety car. But he explained something else as well, and it was the fact that he was unsighted into the braking zone of his braking point. Now, this is something that something I do when I'm gaming and I'm racing, and I know that down into a certain corner where I'm likely to make an overtake off the racing line, I look for a braking point on the opposite wall, so that I know where is my last braking point if I'm going to make a late ditch down the inside, late dive bomb. Yeah. He didn't. It surprised me that he didn't have somewhere on the opposite side
judgment
reference point. Yeah, a reference point, because he said it was Bottas's car blocked his reference point of his braking point, which surprised me.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it did surprise me.
I'll tell you what. We've got a professional sim racer with us, so your own. Well, is it professional sim racer or is it a recently found beer?
He can't be called professional sim racer.
No,
because
that's
he won't be
true.
able to do the esports thing.
That is true. You're not a professional sim racer, otherwise you can't do it.
Sorry, I'm a professional sim racer. I just don't
hang on a minute. You can't be classed as a professional sim racer if you start a race with nowhere near enough fuel to get beyond the first few laps.
Yeah, but I'm a professional, but
I'm a hell of a lot
I do
faster
forget
than everybody
things.
else. This is amazing. Hang on, what's all this shuddering
I couldn't
about?
believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
It was them
Yeah, like,
bloody
oh,
Hando engineers, wasn't it? Turning your car up.
We make you finish first.
No, exactly.
So yeah, your own. You've obviously done a lot of competitive racing. Do you practice or look at markers and take preparations for if you do need to make moves?
No, actually, no.
Why not?
So what happens if you're going up the inside of somebody into, say, like turn 1 at Baku, but your braking point is unsighted?
You go by feeling, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes your feeling is right, and sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah, I think
My feeling's
especially with
wrong.
them-
That's what she said anyway. Don't touch me there. Fuck off.
In the past, I've even driven on the dirty side of a track and broke in practice sessions to see what the
What have
grip
you
is
broke?
like. Ha
what
ha.
have you broke?
A few young uns in the past. And
That sounds so wrong.
no, I've tested what it's like under brakes on the dirty side of the track. Because especially if it's certain places where I feel I might be making a move.
I must admit, it is something that that I've done for a lot of my driving. Is that I will, whether it be on out laps or in laps, or if I've cocked up a corner, I will do that. I'll approach a corner off the racing line just to see what the grip's like and see if I can spot a braking marker or how the car's going to handle and stuff like that. It's just one of those things of having a little bit of extra knowledge for me works well. Just to let everybody know, I think your owner's nipped to the bathroom, and you can tell that he's a polite gentleman because he's not left his microphone on while he goes for a shit, unlike Steve and James do. What else was I going to mention?
Ask you a question. What colour's your toilet roll?
He won't have his headset on. You're all right. Now, one of the Bottas's puncture. Obviously, that did change the outcome of the race massively because it did give Hamilton the win. Now, I'm surprised that he didn't see the piece of debris that he hit, but he did say he didn't see it at all.
Yeah. But there were two as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first one that he hit. That went flying. It was the second one, and it just literally like a bullet had gone straight through his tyre. Even when I saw it before it cut the tyre going, I thought, bloody hell, he'll be lucky if he ain't got a puncture. And then literally 2 seconds later, it were ripping off down at turn 1.
Well, the commentators were saying that the drivers should be keeping an eye out for anything that's on the circuit and all that. But Hamilton on Channel 4, he was saying that he didn't know there was debris there. He wasn't informed that there was debris, and he couldn't see. There's no chance at that speed with the vibrations that are going through the car because the car's bottoming out going down the straight. He said he was even struggling to see the back end of Bottas's car clearly because of the vibrations going through the car, let alone spot a bit of debris on the ground.
I mean, I think I can't remember which driver it was, but I think one of the drivers, it may have been Hamilton, questioned why the debris was still there actually, because it would appear that the debris was not there before the safety car was brought in. So the debris was there because of something that happened on the restart, which means that if you got marshals at the side of the track that have spotted that debris, they should have been able to be told There's no cars coming. You got a minute and a half. Go and get that piece of debris and bring it off the track.
Do you know what I thought it was? I thought it was the end plate off a... Sorry, not an end plate. Side barge board off a Haas from earlier on in the race that shot off sideways into the pit wall, and it stayed against the pit wall. But now on the restart, with the cars being closer to the pit wall, with them being 2 or 3 wide, going in, breaking into turn 1, would that then have maybe dislodged it away from the wall?
Maybe. I'd probably have to have a look back at it and see where it came from. I didn't manage to stay watching Sky to see if I could see where it come from. But I mean, I will say, I mean, Bottas may have been lucky, or may have been a great drive to get in the position he did. Once again, though, he had another fantastic start of the end of a safety car period. There's been many drivers that have been in that position that have faltered on occasion, but everyone that he's had a fantastic restart, and he did that again in Baku. And if he was lucky getting to where he was, then he was desperately unlucky with that puncture.
But what about Vettel's safety car restart procedure when he was leading?
Well, interestingly, I know that Hamilton has... Well, it depends on which website you read. If you read one, it says Hamilton accuses Vettel of cheating, but he doesn't actually accuse him of cheating.
I thought it was speeding up and slowing down, speeding up and slowing. I thought it were getting to a point where it's like, well, hang on, isn't that like trying to get Hamilton a jump, and get in front to get him a penalty?
Well,
I kind of thought it were a bit cheeky.
Well, Hamilton has said that he's going to be at the next race in the driver's briefing. He is going to be asking Charlie Whiting for clarification on whether a driver can stop, start, or start, stop. Like,
because what's the clarification on that? I mean,
you can't.
Does stop mean? Yeah, I know, but stop. Does that mean bringing the car to a dead standstill? You're not allowed to stop the car, or does it mean speeding up and slowing down? Because speeding up and slowing down is something they do to warm the tyres. But he was doing it to such degree that it was causing a chain reaction down the cars.
Yeah.
Because obviously Hamilton reacts to it, the next car behind him reacts, the next car behind him reacts, and before you know it, you've got one car that's accelerating when the car in front's braking.
Yeah. It was something that happened in the first year in Baku in the GP2 race, or the FP2 race as it was known then. The run from what is effectively the final corner to the safety car line, the lead car was pretty much doing a similar thing, speeding up, slowing down. But every time he did it, it was bunching the cars up, because drivers were going and then realising, hang on, and they ended up with like 4 or 5 wide before they'd got to the safety car line, and the stewards had to try and deal with it afterwards, and it was an absolute nightmare. But for the next day, they did take some action to stop it from happening for the next race. Now, it's one of those things. Weaving, no problem. Got no problem whatsoever with weaving. A driver's going to do that to try and cause a mistake from a driver behind, no problem. It's that, okay, yeah, drivers will speed up, but when you are going, you're going to go full acceleration. And there's a big difference between the sound of a car speeding up a little bit and full acceleration. And Vettel must have been very close to doing it. So I know that he's going to be questioning. So who's that with the munchies? Is that James or is that your own?
No.
It's not James this week, or is that Steve?
It's not me. It's not me.
Oh, it's
not
Steve.
me.
It's not you. It's got to be
not
one.
me. No.
It's Steve. It's Steve. I'm sure it's Steve.
No,
that's your own. That's your own. Then sneaky.
Oh, it's Steve.
Go on, then,
I'm sure it's Steve.
What are you eating?
No,
what are you eating?
Salad.
Bullshit! Salad doesn't sound like that. That sounds like chocolate biscuits.
No.
Yeah, so going and stopping, you can't do it. I mean, Hamilton probably should have complained about it on the radio at the time, and may have done. If he did, then the stewards didn't take any notice of it whatsoever. Probably because they need to see the data afterwards. But it'll be interesting to see what happens at the next race when Hamilton brings it up. Not that we'll see, but we may hear something. But I can't see them imposing a penalty. It will just be a clarification. But as Hamilton said when he was interviewed, he said, if what Vettel did is allowed to be done, then everybody's going to do it if they're at the front, and it'll cause massive crashes.
The ramifications from it could be massive, especially when you've got young novice drivers in junior championships trying to replicate it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, they will and they do. Okay, my final sort of notes was that Hamilton was lucky, Raikkonen was lucky, but he also had a good drive. Perez, great recovery. Let's see, and my final note was fucking mental race. I don't know what your guys' overview of the race was.
I think it was the best race. I think it was the best race we've had so far this year. Right, but I'd say if there were no safety cars, I don't think it would be. Safety cars.
Yeah. Thing is, it's the best race we've had so far this season, but only because it was action packed. But it wasn't necessarily for the racing. Apart from the a few overtakes here and there, it wasn't a classic battle from start to finish. It was interrupted, in my opinion, by the safety cars.
I think it was an exciting race, but not necessarily just for racing. I mean, you throw a safety car in towards the end of a race, it's always going to potentially spice things up. I don't necessarily think I could call it a classic, but it definitely kept me entertained.
Yeah, it was one worth watching, that's for sure.
Yeah. Jeroen, your thoughts on the race? What was the general overview?
It was okay, I think.
Okay. Let's see if we could get a bit more out of him on that, because you said you're not a massive fan of Verstappen, so come on then, who are you a fan of? Which team do you support?
I'm a fan of Raikkonen.
Wait.
But he is starting to get a bit old, to be honest. I mean, he's doing somewhat well this season, but I'm more a fan because I like his personality more than anything else, really.
Can you say for me, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing?
Why?
You wouldn't believe how much Jeroen's had. I've known Jeroen 2-3 years. The amount of times I've heard people say stuff like, say this, say that, say this, blah.
I mean, we could be very happy with the weekend. I mean, we did quite well.
Hey, imagine we can have Kimi Räikkönen and Al Schwarzenegger. Who else can we have? I'm having a right chat. Kimi. I'm trying to get in character now. So how was your race? You finished third, but what happened throughout the race, Kimi?
I mean, it was okay. I mean, the start was quite alright. I had a pretty good start, and then Ocon came in my inside. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, he seemed like a complete mental nutcase, you know, one of these idiots that don't leave you any room.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks again, Kimi. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Amazing.
Okay, I do know that in one of the recent driver press conferences, Kimi Räikkönen was there, and he was asked by one of the people in the media what he thinks Formula One should do in the future to make racing better. And his answer
he said he wouldn't be there.
His answer was, I don't get to make the decision, so I'm not going to answer your question. It's a pointless one. It's like, yeah. But touching on that, right, couple of bits of news for you. I know Steve sent me this today. I'd already spotted it. Formula One chiefs approve front and rear wing changes for 2019 to improve overtaking. Now, I haven't looked at what those changes are, but have either of you?
Can I just say something on this?
Go on.
Very quickly. This is going to fuck Codemasters over, because they're going to have to change all their the way the car drives and responds to dirty air. And
well, they won't be bothered because they only start working on the game like 2 months before it's due to come out. Well, that's what it seems like anyway. That seems like the amount of effort they've put in.
I'm actually getting to that point though where I don't really care what the cars look like. You know, with a new front wing or rear wing, as long as it makes for better racing. Yes, I care a bit because obviously the halo looks shit, but if the front wing with less winglets on it and what have you, simplifying the front wing makes for better racing, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you watched the GP2 with the new GP2 car. It were actually really, really good racing. Obviously, they're all in like standardised cars, but really good racing. They're very, very simple front wings compared to the past. Yeah. And
so go on.
I've got to say though, I will watch. It's quite interesting to watch the two Brit lads go at it. The Lando Norris and
George Russell.
George Russell, yeah. And I don't know, George Russell, I mean, just looking at him, he looks like a kid who's probably been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But he does actually seem all right, whereas Lando Norris came across like a huge twat when I watched. I think it were
was that a saggy twat or a tight twat? Was it wet or was it squirting?
No, it was one of them where, you know, they love themselves and you're just like, oh, get over yourself. We were having an interview with Peter Windsor, and I don't mind Peter Windsor, but he can just make it. I don't know. He's a bit. Well, he's not northern. He's very posh. Like, well, he's not very posh, but
that sounds like Ron Squire.
Yeah.
Well, Ron Squire doesn't sound like that. That was. I suppose. Sorry, James. There's a fine line between somebody speaking posh and somebody who with a speech impediment, because the posh do kind of go, yes, well, yes, I do know what you mean, and I do know what you want to say. And somebody like I've been for the last few days, where I'm like, all I want to say is hello, my name is David. I'm going, I do know my name. Sorry,
I have that when people go, "What's your birthday?" and I go,
"I don't know, I can't remember."
and they're just literally looking at you like, "Are you for real?" But anyway, what we're on about? Oh yeah, Lando Norris. He were in an interview in the McLaren Technology Centre with Peter Windsor, and he were having a chat with him, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. He were like going. So what do you do when you make a mistake? And he went, I don't make mistakes. I thought, I bet you fucking do.
Wait till he starts shitting himself.
I really wanted to just see him crack. So it was quite good to watch the race, and I'm pretty sure he had. I felt a bit sorry for George Russell in the first race, the feature race. Because he were pretty much defending that at turn one, and it were pretty much the Sebastian Vettel move on Bottas. Only if you put him in the position of Bottas and somebody else in P2, that kind of made it to a point where George Russell couldn't turn in because there was a car there. Whereas Bottas were quite smart and braked early, waited for him to run wide, and then picked him off on the exit. So I felt a bit sorry for George Russell there because he literally went from leading the race all race long. So I think he finished like right at the back of it almost because he had to do like a 3-point turn down at turn one. And then Lando, he had I don't know.
There you go.
He said in that interview, I don't make mistakes. I must have watched him. I must have seen him make about 8 mistakes in one race, and I thought, it's stuff like that where you just think, what a cocky bastard.
Yeah, I mean, there's someone, a character from WWE wrestling. He's not in it anymore, but on his shirt he used to have, "It ain't showing off if you can back it up." So I don't have a problem with people saying, "I don't make mistakes." As long as they don't.
If they don't make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I do know in one of the, I think it was the first GP2 race, one of the drivers had to start, he didn't have a very good qualifying session, had to start a bit further back. And one of the other drivers had said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to beat him because I'm a really good driver." And the guy, he may have been George Russell, Lando Norris that were talking, and the other guy basically said, "Yeah, he's half right. He is a good driver, but I'm better." And in the race, he went on to go and beat the guy, and it's like, okay, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm better than you and beating them. It's when you go, I'm better than you. I'm gonna beat you so badly your mama's not gonna know your name. To then crash out in turn one doesn't kind of work, does it?
No, but you also got that phrase wrong.
Did I?
It's not that your mama don't know your name. It's so that your mama don't recognise you.
Oh, I changed it. I didn't get it wrong. I changed it. That's what I'll go with anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, on to talking about the front and rear wing changes. I have got the notes here of what will be changed, and these were voted on, I believe, by the FIA or the teams. So, following an e-vote, the regulation changes for the 2019 Formula 1 season has been approved in order to boost closer racing and overtaking opportunities for drivers on track. Jesus Christ!
Oh, my washing machine's kicked in. Hang on.
I thought that was somebody on speed knocking on his door.
Hey, talking of that, that's funny because last night I sat with Bella, my dog, on couch. If you can hear me, sat with Bella on couch, and then all of a sudden I'm listening to someone on my headphones, and she goes like a full-on, like a werewolf, like, oh! And I'm like, oh my god, what the hell are you doing? And then I were quite freaked out myself. I went in the kitchen, there's a bloody torch coming through the... I thought I were on ET, you know, the spacemen.
Right.
A torch aiming through the back door. I walked over. I mean, if somebody were there to bloody mug me, I were pretty much prime candidate walking up in my t-shirt, boxers and my dressing gown. Open the door wide open.
At least you had your boxers on this week.
And bear in mind, it were 10:30 at night, so it wasn't light, it was pretty dark. I literally opened the door and went, "What do you want?" And he went, "Oh, I'm looking for number 26. I went, "You're at 22, mate." He went, "Where's 26? I went, "I don't know, bye." And just shut the door. I thought, I'm fucking freezing it. I'm in my boxers. It's freezing cold. I felt a bit sorry for him, but I thought, who does a delivery at 10:30 at night? Jesus.
Could have been a Domino's.
Anyone delivering food to me and Dave.
Yeah, well, that's true.
No, because I know if he were delivering food, Bella would be back and she'd be like, "Come in, let me have some."
Your own thinking now, probably, is Bella his girlfriend? Does his girlfriend sit there going, "Ooh"? No,
Bella's not his girlfriend. But that's what his girlfriend does.
No, his girlfriend comes in and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, she did it last time when we were doing an impression, didn't she?
Yeah, that was quality. That was. Okay, back to the front wings. Third time. So the changes are simplified front wing with a larger span and low outwash potential. Good. Simplified front brake ducts with no winglets. Good. Wider and deeper rear wing. So they're the changes that are going to come into effect for 2019, and they're changes that the teams were actually not wanting to go ahead with.
Well, I heard that there was 6 out of the teams voted in favour.
Yeah.
So they went with the majority, which is the first time that's happened in Formula 1.
I wonder who were the 4 that voted against it. Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull,
McLaren.
Probably. Okay, I think possibly my last bit of F1 stories for you. I found out what happened to Danny Ricciardo's lip in China.
What did they do?
I was going to give a right dodgy fucking answer then, but I thought I better not. He bit his lip. I think I need to recheck.
Yeah, he bit a lip and he got it infected, and he actually had to have a minor operation on it to have the infection removed.
He's been licking some nasty woman, hasn't he? He's bit his lip, got a cut, licked something that he shouldn't, and ended up with an infection.
Yeah, he's had STD.
Yeah,
I bet he's had like all of Little Mix.
He may have done. He's probably had half of
You wouldn't say no,
Australia
would
as
you?
well.
His microphone is funny. It's like every time he comes on, it's like he's in a tornado.
This is nothing. This is nothing. You weren't with us when we're like, James, what are you doing? He says, oh, I'm just in the basement. It's like, you what? I'm turning the heating on. What?
Yeah, that last house was horrific. I'm glad that this is nice and warm, but it's too loud, so I'm putting myself on mute.
I was going to say something, I forgot.
I do know that James sent me a few F1 pictures. I don't know whether he's going to want me to show them or he wants to talk about them, whether we have talked about them enough. But I have got a picture that I want to show you guys. It's nothing to do with Formula 1. It's just a picture that I found. I mean, I haven't got any how a man does videos or anything like that this week. I've been a little too busy to get anything done. But I did see something online. As I may have mentioned on the podcast last week, I've been going through a little bit of a tough time, and it kind of got me thinking, not seriously, but it got me thinking about what do people do in really tough times when they haven't got a lot of money and unfortunately a member of the family has passed away. What happens if they haven't got a lot of money to do like to put on a nice funeral or arrange a nice burial or something like that? And I know this is sounding a little bit grim at the moment, but because death is, I mean, okay, in Mexico they celebrate the dead and fair play to them, but it did just get me thinking a little bit, and I'm going to send you a picture of something that I found, which I found quite interesting, really, quite fascinating. So I'm going to send it in the I'll tell you what chat.
We want a bin liner, were it?
No, I'm going to send it to the I'll tell you what chat. I'll send it to you as well, Jeroen. So obviously it's quite a touching subject, or it's quite a sensitive subject, and this is what I found. See, everyone's gone dead serious now. They want to be careful of what they're saying, but they can't see, maybe not yet, exactly what I'm showing them.
It's because I was on mute. So
Oh, right.
I was laughing.
Yeah,
the bit at the bottom.
I did say the middle bit. That's pretty much it, innit? Bag 'em.
Yeah, grab 'em, bag 'em, burn 'em. The bit at the bottom.
Midgets half price and politicians are free.
I like that.
Yeah, but I love the tagline. The only thing that isn't stiff is our prices.
Well, maybe people should have a sense of humour about death, although I would admit, turning up in a tranny van like that, it does kind of look like they're probably just going to chop you up, put you in a bin liner and take you down the local tip. But there we go. Oh, who's having a shit? That's why Steve was on mute.
No, it's not me. I'm trying to have some munchies. That's why I'm on mute.
All right.
It's not me. I'm sat by my washing machine. That'd be.
It's Steve again. I'm sure it's Steve again.
No, this is me having munchies.
It did sound like someone was having a shit. Okay, now I sort of touched a little bit on a bit of death there, and I was in two minds whether I was going to mention this, but I will, because obviously we're a Formula 1 podcast and this is to do with Formula 1 a little bit. Yesterday was the anniversary of Roland Ratzenberger's death, which was a tragedy in Formula 1, and today is the anniversary of Ayrton Senna's death, which was also a tragedy in Formula 1, as all deaths in Formula 1 have been. But I was looking on Google earlier, just to get a little bit of information, and I was looking at some of the pictures of Ayrton Senna, and there's plenty of iconic pictures of Ayrton Senna, and I'm going to show one on the podcast now, and I'm going to send it to all three of you guys, and you'll know the picture as soon as you see it. It's an iconic one.
Is it the one where he gets out of the car?
No, but interestingly you mentioned that. This picture that I've just sent you all, it is one of the more iconic Senna pictures. But as I was scrolling through, I did see another picture that I think probably actually should be more iconic than any other Ayrton Senna picture. And interestingly, your owner's just mentioned it. And it was to do with Comas, when Comas crashed in practice. And I think this is a picture that shows more about who Ayrton Senna was than any, or pretty much any other picture, any of the iconic pictures really do, because this is a person who stopped his car, gets out, and I read a bit of the information that they did believe that the car had the potential of bursting into flames given the amount of fuel leakage that was coming out of it. The driver was unconscious, and the engine was revving its tits off because the driver was still had his foot on the accelerator. So Senna was parked up, got out his car, comes over, sees what's going on, turns the car off, and keeps his head upright and helps save his life. While he's doing that,
I think he was running. Didn't he run across the? I'm pretty sure at the end of the Senna movie, they show the piece of footage where he runs across and literally like jumps between 3 Formula 1 cars, blasting at him. Even though there's yellow flags, they're still going at least like 80.
Yeah,
it's like running across the motorway.
And that's the thing. I mean, okay, you wouldn't necessarily normally expect a driver to stop, but obviously I think the image of seeing the other drivers just come round the corner, then slow down and just keep driving, I think this picture just gives more of an insight into the mind of someone like Ayrton Senna, who was ruthless. Obviously coined the phrase, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. A phrase that too many men have taken fully into action when it comes to the female of the species as well.
Oh God.
Yeah. But if there was one thing that Senna was, he was always caring about how people are that he was racing against.
I'm pretty sure Senna did it twice, you know.
He may have done.
I'm pretty sure he did it on 2 separate occasions.
Now, the only other person I can think of that do that, I'm trying to think of, I can't remember his name, but Jeroen may know it, because he did it at Zandvoort. It was when Zandvoort was reopened for the first time after going under major safety refurbishments.
Yeah.
Was it
Ronnie the car that was lying upside down?
Yes.
I think it was Ronnie Peterson.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he was awarded, wasn't he? He was awarded with a Medal of Bravery, I think. But there you go. So yeah.
But he was waving to other drivers as well that they should help him, but they kept driving.
Yeah. Well, he was also waving to just try and get him to stop, wasn't he? Just stop racing.
But
times are very, very different now. That they are. Okay, that's pretty much everything I've got, or I say everything I've got to do with Formula 1, but I thought I wanted to show though that picture there, because a lot of people will remember Senna for the good and bad things that he did, but that for me is just one of those shows more than you might think. But there we go.
Should we get on to the predictions from the last race?
You want to see how shit we did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say how shit we did. To be fair,
I know I got one right.
Hey guys, I've just been talking for about 10 minutes. Thinking, fucking hell, what's going on? Why are they all ignoring me? Thought I'm fucking mute. What a dick. I was just gonna say, if you've never seen the Senna movie, go and watch it.
Yeah. It's one of the, there's not many films that have sort of brought me to tears. That was one that pretty much did. Even
just as soon as the music, soon as it shows San Marino 1994, you know shit's going down. You just know it. There's just something in the air. You can just tell something in the way, like it's the atmosphere. Obviously, the day before there's been a death, but as well, like even I think the best thing about that documentary is it shows all the different people connected to him through his life. And especially like in the opening credits where his mother's saying like, "May God protect him," and I'm not very religious at all, but when he's like, oh, she's like, "Oh, may God protect him no matter what he does," and all that. And then at the funeral where it just shows his mother touching the bloody thing, I'm like, oh, I tell you,
shouldn't laugh at that. Actually, I had a strange question come to me today. It's probably because I was looking at that tranny van.
Was it Was it What's Your Name?
No. No, it was. Is it okay to laugh at a funeral?
I think
Depends on the
sometimes.
context.
I think sometimes when you're in like hysterics, you can't control it because your brain's like, this can't be happening. I'd say it depends on circumstances. Depends on. I mean, I know at I don't want to get depressing here, but I know at my funeral I don't want it to be morbid. I want it to be quite a jolly day. I don't know, that sounds wrong.
So you want
There's a few people. There's a few people I know that if they had a funeral and I attended, I'd probably be laughing.
Mine. Cheers,
James. You know, if you had the unfortunate situation of dying in the near future, we would make sure the picture of you naked on the sofa in nothing but a dressing gown was enlarged and on top of your coffin.
May rest in peace. I like that picture. I'm like, I'm asleep.
Yeah. I'm
Amazing.
sure we could get some recordings of you as well playing. You know, usually they have music when you're being taken out, or instead of like the funeral march, we could have something like Great Balls of Fire or.
Yeah, I bet Jeroen's a bit like, what on earth are you on about?
I've been that for the past 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you'll want to see the picture. To be fair, it's a bit revealing, really, to really know.
I'm feeling quite in the mood to see that actually.
As well, I love the fact that like I'm trying to promote my racing league, and what's really happening is my picture's just going to get spread across the internet on like some porn websites.
Yep.
Classic.
Okay, we're gonna get on to how we got over the predictions. Yeah, I mean, one of the things is Jeroen is finding out that yes, we are an F1 podcast, but we do talk about everything and anything as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we just come on here to talk. If people want to listen, then they can listen. If they get offended, then apologies or get a sense of humour. One of the two, take your pick. Although, admittedly, my mother did call me a miserable cunt yesterday, you know. Right. When I was round at the mother's yesterday, I got a bit pissed off with a jet wash. I couldn't get it to work and I lost my temper. I went, right, fuck off, you cunt, and put everything away. Right. And then she phoned me later in the day and I apologised. I says, look, I'm really sorry about being a miserable cunt earlier. And she goes, that's the second time you've said that word today, but it's okay. You're allowed to be a miserable cunt. And I was like, fucking hell, hang on a minute, you're not meant to, you're bollocking me for saying it, now you're saying it. But there you go. Okay, on to the predictions we made for Baku. And I can say, James did okay. Steve, not bad. Me, complete fucking disaster, right? Steve said that Hamilton would get pole position. It definitely sounds like somebody's having a shit here. I can hear that. I can hear that echo of the toilet bowl.
It's got to be James.
It ain't me. I'm on mute.
What is wrong?
It sounds like somebody's having a shit, but there we go. We'll crack on.
It's Steve. It's Steve.
It's always
it's nothing.
It's
nothing unusual.
I was having a shit.
Okay, so I'm going to crack on with this as best I can. Hang on, that's probably what he'd say if he's having a shit as well. Okay, Steve said Hamilton would get pole position. He didn't. James said Vettel would. James was right. I said it'd be Kimi Räikkönen. I was right up until the final corner. Steve said, as he has done every race, that Hamilton would win, and he did, so Steve gets a point there. James also said it'd be Hamilton, so James gets a second point, and I said it'd be Vettel, and he fucked up because he can't fucking overtake. Podiums, we all did terribly shit there, guys. You've got to get all three right to get the point. Steve said it would be Hamilton, Ricciardo and Bottas. Two of them didn't get to the end. James said Hamilton, Ricciardo and Magnussen. One of which didn't get to the end. The other one shouldn't have even got to the start.
It was just the other. It's just the other driver I don't like that got on there. I completely forgot about Perez, but yeah, I were in the mood for somebody random on the podium.
Yep. And I went for Vettel, Ricciardo, and then Hamilton. So I was shit out of luck with that one. First to crash out. Now, as I said, this was an interesting one, right? Because Sirotkin was the first to crash, but actually Ocon was the first to crash out. So Ocon was out at turn 2 and was already getting out of his car by the time Sirotkin parked up. So I was kind of like, I think I would go with Ocon on that one, but I'm not sure. But either way, all three of us got it completely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Because Steve said it'd be Hamilton.
Can I just say, though,
Go on.
you two are not far off, though, because you both picked someone that did crash out. Yeah,
just not at that point.
Yeah.
James said it'd be Grosjean, and I said it would be Verstappen. Mightiest McLaren was one
James said P4. I said P8.
Hang on. Oh yeah.
Hang on.
No,
Dave,
James said
P7.
James, no, hang on. Steve's cheating here. Steve, you said
I said P8.
I wrote it down. You said Alonso P4, and that Van Dorn will crash out or will be 10th to 14th. You were wrong on both because Alonso wasn't P4.
Wasn't
no, he was 9th. He was 9th. I think
7th.
He may have got higher.
Alonso was 7th.
Alonso was 7th. But Van Dorn actually did well. Pitted at the latest moment under the safety car for a brand new set of tyres that were warmer, and he was at the back anyway and managed to gain 5 places, so it worked for him. James said it'd be P8. I said it'd be P6. I couldn't remember if we said we'd got to be within 2, so I haven't given me or James a point because the way I saw it was we were both wrong, so no points there. We're doing really shit, guys. Now, to please James, or to annoy him, and to please Steve or the ladies out there, I've named the last one the Solo Dick, for the short for Solo Predictions, and also Solo because it's Star Wars for James, although that's the movie he doesn't like.
No, yeah.
So, Steve, do you remember which prediction you said you were going to make?
How many virtual safety cars there were going to be?
And how many was there?
Fuck all.
None. Yep, so no points for you. James, do you remember which one you said?
Did I say safety car at the castle?
No. You said castle section crash will cause a red flag.
Red flag, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody even touched a barrier at the castle section.
Yeah, everybody crashed everywhere else apart from there.
Yep.
I believe it.
And I went with there would be 2 second to last corner crashes. And there was none.
How many were there?
None. There was fuck all. Grosjean was the closest. But yeah, there was fuck all. So James scored the most points this week with 2. Steve got 1. I got fuck all. That means James is in the lead on 4.
Come on.
Me and Steve are tied on 2. Shocking amount of points.
I've got a question for Jeroen.
For who? Jeroen.
Jeroen. What's your best way to prepare for a sim race?
Put fuel in car.
Do you like say a few hours before? What do you do to prepare for a sim race?
I had one. No, never. I had one weird ritual. The night before a race, I would always sleep at 1 at night, and if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't finish first. So that is one very weird ritual that I always had. But before a race itself, I make sure that I have a bottle of water next to me, and that I had some food, and that's really it.
What about you, James?
I usually, if if I know I'm in a good mood and I'm going to be able to race and probably win, I have a ritual where I have to literally empty my bowels and have a big poo and a wee about 10 minutes before the start of the race. Then I feel really comfortable. That's pretty much it, really. I think the only thing I never want is to be battling wheel to wheel and then my concentration to be going, I need a wee. I never want to have that feeling while I'm racing.
What about you, Dave?
I'm curious why you're asking this. There's got to be a reason. You know what? For the last couple of years, my pre-race routine hasn't really been much of a routine. It's sort of like I just like to have at least an hour to just get warmed up, do some practice, and then once the qualifying session starts, all of a sudden I need a shit, even though I've already been 5 minutes before. And then halfway through the qualifying session, I'm thinking, I really am going to need to go for a shit. I go to the loo, nothing comes out. I just sit there farting, end up with a sore arse, and then uncomfortable when I sit back down. And then I do the last couple of laps, and then we get into the warm-up, and then I'm like, fuck, now I need a piss. So my pre-race routine is basically become an old man and constantly needing the fucking toilet.
Well, mine is make sure I've got plenty of fluids. But something new that Dave actually mentioned was hard-boiled sweets, because on the new Codemasters game you don't have that much time to grab a drink in the pit lane because you've got your manual pit starts. So I grab a hard-boiled sweet, but I have to eat a giant aero before a race just for the sugar boost. It just helps me. But the reason why I brought this up, Dave, is I've got a new teammate, as you know, in my Formula 1 league.
Yeah, well, yes, you have. And interestingly, I did used to race with a packet of Jaffa cakes next to me. Because if I was ever feeling a little bit energy drained while I was racing, I could have a Jaffa cake and they give you a little boost of energy. It's also good if you go on a long drive. So, yeah, you've got a new teammate.
I've got a new teammate, and a lot of people know him as Rachel Brooks from our commentary days from the Racing RI. He's got his own little pre-race ritual before a race.
And what would that be?
Well, apparently he has a good nap before a race and wakes up not long before. And we've got some images of this sent in kindly by his other behalf. Anyone like to see them?
Well, I've already put it on the podcast. It's already on the screen. As soon as you said the word nap, it was up.
So let's have a look. So, James, what's your thoughts about having a nap before a race?
Hang on, it's just come through now. No, I don't think I'd be. Whenever I have a nap, I usually feel crap when I wake up. If that's his idea of a nap, then God help him. That looks to me like I would wake up and I wouldn't be able to sit down. I'd have to, I'd have like muscle spasms. I'd be a mess. And is Ray older than me? How old's Ray?
It is old enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 28, and even I won't be able to put up with that. How does he sleep with kids talking next to him?
I don't know. If I fell asleep in that position, I'd wake up feeling like I'd only got one leg.
Yeah, exactly. And that'd be good for breaking.
But I'd also like to point out he does have his priorities right. He's got a 4-pack of Tennant Super next to his chair for racing on, and one already in a cup holder next to his wheel.
So he has. He's definitely prepared, isn't he?
Yep.
Now, it isn't just. I believe it isn't just the floor that he sleeps on, though.
No, he is someone that is prepared to sleep pretty much anywhere, and I think the last place he was caught sleeping was the sofa. I don't know if that's because he upset the missus.
Probably because he was practicing with you till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, he needed it.
Yeah. Well, I know Ray's been listening to the podcast recently, so Ray, we love you, and so does your missus. That's why she's been sending pictures of you sleeping to Steve. A bit of a weird scenario. What are you doing? Sending pictures of you sleeping to a guy? and Ray is actually listening in at the moment. It's a disaster. That what his mother said. I have a crate of beer and he's 21.
He's not fucking 21.
Unless 21 is the amount of beers were in the crate. But there we go. Now I know that Jeroen has been to the bathroom again. I had an interesting conversation with Jeroen recently. I'm not sure if he's back with us yet, but he'd had quite a few beers, right? And he didn't remember the conversation the next day. But one of the things I'd said to him, and I know James, you'll have experienced this. I know I have. I know Steve has. But Jeroen is still a young gentleman. I don't know how long he's been drinking beer, but one of the things I said to him was, "Oh, drinking beer's fine until you go for a piss the first time." This is what do you mean? This is when you've been for a piss the first time, you can't stop going for a piss, which is why he's gone to the toilet for a second time already. So even old man here multiple times to the loo before a race hasn't been to the loo yet, but Jeroen is on his second of the afternoon.
Yeah, it's the case though. It's just like once you break the seal, that's it. Every drink you have, you've got to go to the loo.
Yep. Okay, guys, is there anything else?
Oh yeah, I don't know if Jeroen is listening in at this point, but he's just on mute. Did you have any luck with that woman, that girl that you liked?
I don't know, but I don't know if I can talk about that publicly. So we could ask him. I found out what the flappy paddle was about. Vettel's secret paddle.
Oh yes.
Now the FIA have investigated and have said that Ferrari are breaking no laws, and it would appear that the lever is almost certainly simply a second way to activate the clutch. So Ferrari not breaking any rules or anything like that. It's not for any kind of speed gain. It's just another way of activating the clutch. So there we go.
So all or nothing.
Yeah.
Load of old bollocks.
Yes.
The media trying to make up a story out of fuck all.
Yeah, which, like I said, with the Hamilton one, Hamilton said he's going to ask Charlie Whiting for clarification on Vettel weaving, and the media are putting it out there as Hamilton accuses Vettel of cheating, and it's like,
Yeah,
well,
bollocks, yeah.
has he actually said he was cheating? No, he hasn't. So,
No.
I mean, it's a little bit like accusing your partner of cheating when all they've done is watching a film with you and going, "Oh, Thor's fit."
That is cheating.
No, it's not. If that's cheating, you've been cheating every time you watch porn.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but that's different, innit? I mean, 'cause they're not A-listers.
Well, it depends on who you're watching. Okay, that's pretty much everything I've got F1 wise, guys. What else have you got? You got anything else you want to discuss, want to talk about?
I think it was probably one of them races where you really didn't need DRS. I would have liked to have seen what the outcome would have been without DRS. Because I mean, when you I don't know if you've seen the onboard with Gasly when he's trying to attack Magnussen. But every time he pulls out from the slipstream, it's just like, oh shit, I ain't got the pace. But once he gets in the slipstream, it's quite good.
Here's a question for you, right? You mentioned that you watched the GP2 race, right? I haven't.
Yeah.
Last year I did watch a few of them, and over the last few years I have watched a few of them. I don't think I've ever really watched a boring GP2 race. They're thrilling. They really are. And they do have a standardised chassis and stuff. The cars are very closely matched. But the races they are absolutely thrilling from start to finish. And over the last few years, I'd probably say I've found it more entertaining watching them, especially with the noise that they've made, than Formula One. And I think it kind of emphasises that fact that it doesn't matter how quick a car goes or what power source it's using, as long as it makes some noise and the drivers can race. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the car now is a V6, so it's similar sound to the Formula 1 now. But the cars, I wasn't fussed about the sound. Mind you, in my racing league, I'm using that old Lotus, and it does sound the dog's bollocks. But yeah, I think the main thing were that the cars could just follow each other because they had very simple wings, and it just showed that if you have cars with simple wings, yeah, they're all the same car, but they clearly developed that car to be able to follow each other.
Yeah. Okay. Is that Jeroen back with us?
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Steve might have a question for you, but if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. Okay. We are kind of now in the realm of, if you've got something about if you've got something you want to talk about to do with Formula 1, feel free to do so. But we are now in the realm of anything goes. So conversation.
Okay, that's my kind of area. So
Okay.
You said that
Right,
you're about
let's
to
see
get
if you're
asked a question. Yeah.
that's all right.
Last time I spoke to you,
Yeah.
you were discussing a potential love life. How did that go? What happened?
Well, you have to take me back a bit because I've been telling so much shit that I don't know it anymore myself.
You was having a chat with Dave about how should you approach a girl that you really like.
Good job I didn't say with your cock out.
When was this?
About a year ago.
A year ago.
You just go over them and just go, "Hi, darling, can I shag you?"
And we kind of like Dave gave you a bit of advice, I gave you a bit of advice, and we wondered whether you pursued it or not, or whether you just didn't bother.
I am. Oh yes, I remember.
There was somebody
yes,
at is it college or university or something like that?
I remember now. Yeah, but there's now another.
There's another. Okay. So that never happened, or did it happen and then didn't happen?
No.
So now you know why people think he sounds like Kimi Räikkönen.
Oh yeah, I can make a long story, but there's no point really.
Kimi Räikkönen's missus, I didn't mind cutting to pit lane to watch that.
I nearly messaged you about that actually, saying as much as we hate them cutting away from the action, Kimi Räikkönen's missus is
she's one I won't mind.
Yeah.
It's when it cuts to Max Verstappen's fat face's sister. I'm just like, why are you showing this?
Maybe we should get Kimi back in there for his missus.
I do kind of like Bottas's missus though.
It's not.
I used to have a good one. I'm gonna find him.
I'm pretty sure Alonso in 2014 had about 5 on go. I think when he was racing at Ferrari, he had like a quite nice one. But then, as soon as he moved to McLaren, I'm pretty sure I had like 5 different ones. I'm like, is that his friend or is that his girl? And, oh no, that's a new one. Literally, he got a new one. Because I know the one that you're on about, the one when he were at Ferrari and he were up for title. I think he was 20.
I don't know.
2012, and it kept cutting to where guys like jumping up and down, like, it won't end well. Don't worry.
She used to be there during the races, though. Like sometimes.
I think the best wife or girlfriend we've seen in the garage, though, has got to be Nicole Scher's singer.
No.
Yeah, jumping up and down in 2008. Oh,
no.
Yeah. As well, when spraying champagne in 2014, even Vicky were like, this could be a porno. She had a face up with her tongue out.
You sure it wasn't an omnibud?
Yeah.
Oh, does Jeroen know what an omnibud is?
What?
It's not an all I know is it's not an ombudsman to do with financial services.
Guys, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've never heard of an omnibud then?
But with a D or a T? Or
D.
a T? A T?
D. D. D.
D. No, no, I have no clue. No clue.
Then we know that Jeroen has not reached that style of pornography yet.
Not in the UK language, no.
Okay. Little orangey thing hanging out of a woman that vibrates when people... Or pink, is it? See, Steve knows. That vibrates when people pay them money. On a webcam. Online. On YouPorn.
That is quite clever, actually.
It is. It's. I can imagine there's women out there making an absolute fortune.
Yeah, if I were a woman, I know what I would be doing right now.
You pervert.
It's just a shame they don't have that outlet for us.
It's just another version of I was going to say porn, and just another version of like sim racing, isn't it? Just which one comes first.
Well, there is one fun thing, because obviously I have this virtual reality glass, and it's good for sim racing, but it also has other purposes.
Have you tried it with porn then?
Yeah, I have,
Have you been using it, and then when you finish taking the headset off and gone, I don't remember
I couldn't
having a
finish.
cup of tea before all that?
I could not finish because it was too fun.
You know, James is pricing up a set of VR goggles now.
What? Say again, please.
How much? Hang on.
Yeah, you know, James
I'm
is
looking on eBay.
About, if for the PlayStation, it's about 200
To be
quid.
fair, you can have them.
Well, if I put them on, I'd probably end up never doing anything else again. Refurbish, you know why? He's been watching porn on it.
Only once, but it was so funny I never did it again.
The problem is though, you don't know if somebody walks in the room to say, you know, like if you live with your parents, what
That's
if
a good point.
your parents
That's
comes
a
and
good
knocks
point.
on your door to come in, you're not going to hear them because you've got the sound on. You're not going to see them coming in.
James! What are you? Oh, James!
Do you want to hand
Playing
me
a game?
Oh God. Oh, I remember seeing on Facebook actually, there was a post a woman had put on, I don't know if you have them in Holland, but you have like, okay, we live in Derby, so there's kind of like what's happening in Derby type posts, pages and stuff like that. And one of the posts this woman had put up, she'd put up a picture of a shower, asking if people could tell her what the thing was that was stuck to the wall in the shower, because she didn't know what it was. It turned out it was a fleshlight. I know what a fleshlight. I haven't got one. Jeroen obviously does, and I'm sure Stephen.
No.
You don't.
What is this?
A fleshlight.
Yeah, I know what it is, but I haven't got one.
No.
Why would you assume that?
Oh no, I was just assuming that you know what one is because you laughed.
Yeah, I know what one is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what one is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you've got one, haven't you?
Jesus, how many times do I have to tell?
So she posted it on this Facebook page saying, can anybody tell me what this is? My son was using the shower and I don't know what it is. And she had like so many people telling her what. She's like, no, my son doesn't do that. And it's like, look, here's a link to websites where you can buy it. And she refused to believe it. But I've been tempted to get one, but never actually have. Well, there you go.
So I'm young and naive. What is it?
It's basically, it looks like a torch, a handheld torch, but you unscrew the bit where the light bulb would be, and what you have is a rubber vagina that you can masturbate with. Or as Ray would put it, you can fuck it till it fucking falls apart.
So it's not like, when you say flash torch, I thought it was like a light you light on yourself to see where you're dirty.
No.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's sort of like, find your car keys at night, but like,
you can't tell me that you can't tell me that you two don't know what a fleshlight is.
Hey, us two have got girlfriends. That's why we don't know.
Yeah, we don't have a clue.
How have you guys done that, if I may ask?
They're both blind.
Well, the thing is, what Steve's not realised is that he's got a wife and he's just said girlfriend, so now the wife is going to be thinking, who the fuck is your girlfriend?
The thing is, James has got a girlfriend, I've got a wife, and I had to say wife or girlfriend, so...
You went with girlfriend, you are...
Yeah.
Oh, you're in so much trouble.
How old are you guys? Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm older than Dave.
Yeah. which Jeroen has reminded me of a few
How
times.
How old were you, Steve? 11?
Yes.
Ray is asking, what is our preferred type of racing to watch and why?
Type of
I'd
racing?
probably say MotoGP is exciting to watch. However, I prefer cars to bikes, but you do get more action in MotoGP.
Yeah, agreed.
If Formula 1 could get to that standard of MotoGP, then it'd be F1 every time. I've got to say, actually, you know what? I've really, really enjoyed watching. Really got into rallycross. It's not exactly high sport, but it does the job. It's pretty exciting, pretty funny sometimes. It's just funny to see these rally drivers that are absolutely shit hot, but when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing, they don't have a clue what they're doing. It's brilliant.
So I like World Rally because I just think it's amazing how they go around some of the streets as fast as they do go, especially in different conditions.
I'd love to watch World Rally, but like the full course. I mean, I don't know. Would you have to get like Eurosport? 'Cause, I mean, the stuff that you see on TV, it's just like a highlights package of like one corner. It's like, is that it?
Yeah.
It just literally shows them starting, go around the corner, whether they crash or not, and then this is him at the end of the stage going, "I'm fucked off. You got in my way." That's all I ever see, and I'm just like, I would really enjoy this if I got a proper like package to watch it with.
The thing with
Go on. I was going to say I do like British touring cars as well because I went to see them at the weekend. Because the reason why I like rallying and British touring cars is they're very close and similar to what you're able to purchase and put on the road yourself. Okay, they're racing versions of it, but they are basically what you can buy from a showroom. Whereas you can't go and buy a Formula 1 car.
How did that Jake Hill do?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I just sat there drinking beer, watching cars go by.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, the thing with WRC is, since the main manufacturers dropped out, the sport has gone downhill. I do want to quickly just mention though, Steve, don't forget about that Australian motorsport you found. But my answer to the question is my preferred type of racing is the Orgasm World Championships. And these three are now like, what about? Yes, they do exist.
And it's how many times can you do it?
I think I've only watched Eurovision. You not know what a fleshlight is, but you know what the Eurovision thong contest is. Your mind is a question that we may need to ask Jeroen. Although I think there may be something wrong with the live stream at the moment. Just give me a second.
No.
It may have just dropped out for a split second. Yeah, there is a question that we do need to ask Jeroen. We know that he can do an impression of Kimi Räikkönen, but what I want to know is, can he do a Chinese accent?
Oh, that's me warm up. Oh.
Now, Jeroen, can you do a Chinese accent?
No.
Can you do it?
No.
Go on.
Oh, what do you want to hear? Huh?
Go on. I want to hear you try. Come on.
I'll give you a phrase.
Yeah, please.
Sometimes I wake up grumpy. Sometimes I let her sleep. Sometimes I let her sleep.
What is a Chinese accent?
English, Chinese.
Yeah.
It's not possible, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Go on, it is.
Oh, you want some vinegar on
Oh,
your
yes.
Oh, you're crazy, man.
Oh.
Right. He hasn't tried it yet, and it could be. Right. I'm dropping this on you,
I think this is going to be solid gold.
I don't, because you don't know what I've
I
written.
don't know what you guys are expecting, but this is not gonna work.
Well, worst case scenario, you fall back on Kimi Räikkönen trying to do a Chinese accent.
Yeah, I prefer that, to be honest.
Right, okay guys, for anyone that's listening to the podcast that knows us, you know that we've done the Hando series. I will be honest, I haven't been able to write a script for a few weeks now. I've got too much going on. But what I have got is a few quotes. Or
I have a few quotes as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to send some quotes or one-liners to Jeroen, to Steve, to James, and to me. Yeah. And we'll take it in turns, seeing how we get on. I'm not saying that any of these are going to be funny, but we'll see what happens. This could be an absolute disaster. It could be interesting to see if Jeroen in a drunken state is able to speak like we do. So let me.
I
go on.
Still don't understand it, but
that's all right. Okay, let me just send these out. So, Steve, here's yours. James, I'm about to send you yours. Okay, Jeroen. The way this will work is I'm going to send you a list of sentences. Yep.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is try and say it with a Chinese accent.
No, I mean no.
Yeah.
No, come on.
Come on.
I'm gonna go on YouTube first. Okay.
Okay, James, there's yours.
Oh, hang on. Here we go. This is my warm up. Hang on. Tall block. Am I going just doing the number one? Yeah.
Hang on, you don't go yet. I've not sent them all out yet.
Oh.
Okay.
So sorry.
James is too eager. So, okay, Jeroen, I've sent you yours, so you can have a quick read of it. It doesn't matter if you don't understand them. You don't have to. You just have to try and say them. Okay, so bear with me one moment, guys. Brilliant professionalism here. Okay, so it's time then for a bit of a it's not Hando karaoke this week. We may do that again in the future, but I
would love to do that actually instead of the accent.
Imagine it. We could do like Kimmy karaoke.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Yes,
the thing is, I don't know if Jeroen is actually. I don't know if you have heard the Hando karaoke that we did a few weeks ago. I did actually use one of the songs that you love. You'll have to listen to it. You may hate me for it afterwards though, because James absolutely destroys I'm Bad. But there we go. Okay, so this is going to be Hando on a lunch break with a few inspirational quotes. Hando, James, why don't you take us away?
Two blondes fall down well. One said to the other, "Isn't it dark down here?" She replies, "I don't know, I can see."
Shall I go next?
On to you, Steve.
I just asked my husband if he remembers what today is. Scaring men is easy.
The last thing I want to do is insult you, but it is on the list. Come on, Kimmy.
It's my turn now. It's my turn, yeah?
Yeah.
It is your turn.
This is impossible.
Come on, you can do it, come on. Yes, come on. That's the warm up.
I can't go further. Very funny. Scotty. No, please don't, Michaels.
You just sound like you burned your tongue.
Hot.
Say that again. I did not hear it very well.
Very funny, Scotty. No beam, no close.
Amazing.
In the meantime, I'm watching a video on YouTube how to do a Chinese accent, by the way. I'm not kidding.
It was only when I bought a motorbike that I found out what adrenaline is brown.
My girlfriend is always stealing my t-shirt and sweaters. But if I take one of her dresses, suddenly we need to talk.
Talk.
Oh. I cannot say this next one. What is this? Can I skip one as well or no?
No. No, you cannot skip what.
Oh, okay. The problem with I'm gonna hang up the Skype call. The problem with the problem with the sex in the movies is usually the popcorn spills.
That sounded like a Dutch guy doing an impression of Steve McLaren doing a Dutch accent.
That was
Oh.
What do you do if a blonde throws a grenade at you? Pull the pin and throw it back. That's how we do it.
After the helicopter crash, the blonde pilot asked what happened. She replied, "It was getting chilly in here, so I turned the fan off."
The problem with troubleshooting is that trouble shoots back.
behind every angry woman is a man who has absolutely no idea what he did wrong.
Oh, this is getting better. Oh man, Jeroen, man, you're nailing it.
Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
James, you still got number
yeah?
3. You still got number 3 to do.
Oh, how do I do this? Oh, this is a nurse. We need a stool sample and a urine sample. Man to wife. What did she say? Wife to husband. They want your underwear.
I get that.
I don't get it. That's why I left it out. I don't get it.
I get it.
I don't get that.
Why men's voice is louder than women? Men have antenna.
What?
Why is men's
talking about?
why men's voices louder than women? Because men have antenna.
The antenna. Antenna lady.
An antenna, like you have on a radio.
Oh.
You still don't get it.
No.
I'm on radio.
Confession.
James, are you blonde?
Confession is good for the soul, but bad for your career.
Hey. You
Why?
okay?
Yeah. Why did the blonde stare in the frozen orange? It can be for 2 hours because it's at concentrate. Why did the blonde stare at the frozen orange juice can be for 2 hours? Because it's at concentrate.
Oh man, how you do that thing with your tongue where it's like a robot? It's like
We had to do Spanish accent. No more radio for the rest of the race.
You should definitely try that. Oh, now, woman, you open her legs and you say radio.
Oh, I really love you.
I am ready.
Tony the Tiger would say that. You're great.
Rock and roll.
I tried to explain to my 4-year-old son that it's perfectly normal to accidentally poop your pants, but he still keeps making fun of me.
Why do blondes have TGI Friday?
TGI Friday? What are you on about?
That's what I was going to say. TGI
TGI fuck?
On their shoes. Toes go in first.
I don't understand what you say, Steve.
TGIF on their shoes. Why do blondes have TGIF on their shoes?
I didn't even know they do, but go on, explain what you're on about.
Toes go in first.
Oh.
He still do not get that.
I don't get it.
Life without women would be a pain in the ass. Literally.
No, I'd be celibate.
Oh, it's okay when you use rosemary beads.
My wife just found out I replaced our bed with a trampoline. She hit the roof.
Oh man, I swear your accent's so good. It's
Thank
like
you.
it's like an alien.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing. Oh, I've got to say it's amazing. Oh, I've got one more. Light travel faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. Like me.
What the fuck was that?
It's just some diarrhea. Sorry, guys.
I think Steve's worked out how to do an impression of Predator. Oh dear.
Come on, kill me. I'm here. Come on.
I have to say, your Chinese accent.
Oh, I've never heard. It sounds like a machine gun. It's amazing. It's like,
Thank you. Next time, Italian accent. No problem.
I'm wondering if that's what the
Chinese.
I wonder if that's what the Chinese sound like with a Dutch accent.
Yes, that's what they have over here.
Oh dear.
Oh man, amazing.
I'm starting talking about China. I really fancy a Chinese now.
Why China? Why not Spanish or Italian or something?
Well, really,
like
we were meant to be Japanese, aren't we? Because Honda's Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just because we're ignorant and we don't understand the difference between
I get
Chinese
it, yes.
and Japanese.
Understandable, yes.
But we never want to offend anybody. We're just having a laugh. If you want to get offended, that's your problem.
That's kind of
anyway.
That's kind of like saying I don't want to offend anybody, but you're a cunt. I don't mean obviously, but no. I mean, at the end of the day, Hando is just for kicks. It's a piss take on Honda.
But where is the karaoke then?
Well,
what songs do you like? Who's your favourite artist?
No. In terms of karaoke, I'm not kidding. I really like the Ketchup song.
Ketchup song.
Yes. Do you guys actually know that? Because it is. I think when you hear it, you'll know it.
I have no idea what you're on about.
Okay.
I know about HP Ready.
Would it on Eurovision or something?
No, it's better than that. Hang on.
Alright, Dave. I've got a lyric for a song that we could ask Jeroen to do as
No
a
problem.
Kimi Raikkonen one, if you wish.
No,
but I'll have to send
Italian with the rolling R.
with a rolling R. Okay. Well, Dave, I'll share these lyrics with you. It's going to be a song he's probably never heard of before.
Oh God.
But I think it's going to be interesting.
What about singing "Cold as Ice"?
What the fuck? Okay, I've got two things to look at. One of them starts off "Come on, ladies," and the other one is "Last Ketchup." The thing is, if I play that, right, I'm not going to be able to play that because if I play it,
no,
I'm not
right.
talking to you.
About...
I'm not talking to you, Steve. I
Okay.
can't. If I play,
Fine.
if I if I play the video that Jeroen has sent me, we'll end up with a copyright strike. But what I will be able to do
that happened when we did Redneck shit.
Yeah.
Attention,
You need
business.
to check that out. That's amazing.
Yeah. But what I will do is I will send the link to Steve and James. But yeah, I mean, Redneck shit, that song was absolutely fucking brilliant. And because of a YouTube strike, they fucking cut it off the podcast, so the podcast was silent for 2 minutes. Okay, so right. What? I can hear your own whispering to someone.
Yeah.
With the parents. What are you doing with that virtual headset on your own? Okay.
I'm watching replay of my race here, of me running out of fuel at the pit lane entry. What a dick. What can I commentate on?
Oh, you just
Other than saying, what a dick.
Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
I'll just show you. I'll just send you a picture here of me pulled up at the pit lane. This is how close I was to getting in the pit lane. Where am I?
Okay, so while Steve and James are having a look at Last Ketchup, right, Jeroen, I've sent you what Steve sent me. These are apparently song lyrics that apparently you're going to try and do with an Italian accent, are you?
Raikkonen also, but whatever you want. Even Chinese, no problem.
Take your pick.
A mix of Raikkonen, a mix of Spanish. But what is the melody?
Steve?
You can make up the melody and then...
Okay, no problem. Hang on.
By the looks of it, kind of like it's a 1, 2, 3. By the looks of it, so a beat of sort of 1, 2, 3.
Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies.
There you go. Then.
1 pound fish. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Get your fish. That's how it goes.
Yes.
Get your keys. What?
Fish.
I'm gonna perform another version. I need to find it. Okay.
Well, while these guys are getting themselves sorted out, the next F1 race, I believe, is
Barcelona.
It is Barcelona. I think it might be in 2 weeks' time as well.
Yep.
So we will probably do, well, hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast next week where we'll be able to chat about the upcoming race, any F1 news that comes out in the next week, and make our predictions for the Spanish Grand Prix, and we'll also see what pictures Ray's missus sends in, what pictures James' missus sends in. Is that your own prank? I think he's had a stroke.
I have got the perfect song. I know. I am ready. No problem.
It sounds high pitched, Jerome.
It is, but it was because of rehearsal.
Okay, I thought that's what I was hearing. Okay, so if everybody's ready for Jeroen to make an embarrassment of himself,
it's all right, Jerome. I'll do one with Alan Schwarzenegger singing a song.
Okay. When you're ready.
Okay. Wait, I need to rehearse one more time. Hang on.
You know, talking about. Oh, is this live rehearsal we're listening to?
Sounds like it. The thing is, I know he's a bit of a performer, as Jeroen.
Yeah, before Jerome actually kicks in with his melody, I'm just thinking, how many followers does Jerome have on? Is he on Twitter or not?
He may be. Jeroen has quite a following.
Very cheap. Very cheap. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect.
Okay, then let's hear it. Let's hear it, Jerome.
I cannot mess up otherwise, you know.
The whole point.
No.
Wait, I'm gonna mute my mic and try it one time, then I'm ready.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, with Jerome having so many followers on Twitter, if you could get the word out about the racing league, this could, this could be the start of something big. But it's whether he's willing.
It might depend on how good you are.
I mean, I've just given him quite high. I give him quite a high compliment on his hand-up performance. That was pretty shit on. It's all down to whether the singing's any good now.
Yeah, that is true.
And it depends on whether he likes Star Wars, which we need to ask about in a minute.
Yeah. Jerome, are you ready? Oh, he must be taking this seriously.
He is. He's getting into this, I tell you.
Almost ready. One more time.
His stage name, Dutch Magic. He's taking pictures now.
No, this is me.
Oh, right.
It's me taking photo evidence to show I was actually leading a race with Davey out there. Oh, what a knobhead. I cannot believe I didn't put fuel in.
Oh, well. It's interesting, though. What was I talking about? I was involved in a crash in my latest race where I was so busy looking at a car ahead that had just been off the track that I was giving plenty of room to that guy, even though I was 50 yards behind him. Totally didn't see the car that was trying to overtake me on my left and fucking spun us both into a barrier.
I think that's why I kind of, in the race at Baku, kind of give Hulkenberg benefit of doubt, because I don't think he would realise there were 3 wide.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready, guys.
Oh, here we go then. He's more of a diva than Mariah Carey.
Where's me M&M's?
They want them all green. They have to be all green.
Right, come on then.
Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. 1 pound fish, have a look. 1 pound fish, have a look. 1 pound fish. Ooh, very, very good. 1 pound fish, very 1 pound fish. Very good, very cheap. 1 pound fish. 6, 4, 5 pounds for 1 pound each.
Is someone grabbing your nuts?
1 pound fish.
Hang on. I'm going to get lyrics up for a song. What would Arnie sing?
It's not finished yet.
I think the red button's been it.
Sorry, Jerome. What would Arnie sing? If he were going to sing a song, what would it be?
Come on, Jeroen, you can stitch James up here. What would Arnold Schwarzenegger sing?
Working 9 to 5.
I'll be there instead of I'll be back.
That's not a bad one.
That's what? I'll be there. What, by Michael Jackson? By the Jacksons?
Yeah.
I'll be there.
By
Bloody
Peter
hell,
Wow.
By who?
Peter Bell.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I know that one. I was thinking more cheesy 80s. Let's see if we can find some. As we're doing this, is there anything I'm going to bang on about? Oh, this is it. We're going to ask Jerome.
Pronounce the name right first. No, I'm not listening. Pronounce the name right first.
It's not Jerome. No, it's not Jerome.
It's because I'm thinking Robson and Jerome.
No.
Yeah.
You could sing one of their songs. No, it's your own.
Your own. Right,
Yes,
so
that's
your
all.
own,
Or you could say your room. Your room.
Yes,
Your room.
it's alright as well.
Your
Yes,
room?
yes.
How many Twitter followers have you got?
2.
Yes, Dave.
Good
ask away.
answer. Good answer.
Well, if you've only got 2, then it doesn't really matter. But if you've got like maybe 3 or 4, it might be worth doing. I'm just wondering if you won't mind following my Racing League
Hang on a
Twitter
minute.
page.
Hang on a
and
minute.
Trying to
I
help promote me Racing League.
What racing league is this?
I think you can only ask that if it would come with a provider. I'm going to kind of protect your own a little bit here because your own is I've known
Thank
your
you.
own a while, right?
I cannot do it myself, I
Yep.
know. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's all that alcohol you drink. No, I can imagine there's a lot of people that would say to your own, "Oh, do us a favour, can you follow this? Can you follow this? Because if you do, then I know lots of people follow you, and if you tweet something, then loads of people will look at it, right?" So I'll try and protect your own a little bit here by
Thank
saying, if you're going to ask the question, James, it would have to be on the proviso that your own is able to write something like, "Look at this, not bad. Didn't have enough fuel in his car. Thought he was doing great."
Yeah, you can do that if you want. if that gets me followers and viewers,
That's
I don't care,
negative
you can do that.
publicity. That's negative publicity.
I might even put like you as like a sponsor and just like promote you.
In all fairness, your own is one of those people, as I said to him before. He could go to his local racetrack, mention his name, and they'd know who he is. He could go to a racetrack in the UK, mention
You
his
keep
name.
saying that, but that's really rubbish. I don't know where you still get that from, but
Because of the amount of people.
I got
that
recognized
know
in my school, by the way.
Oh, did you? As because of your sim racing, or because of your dancing?
No, not because of the dancing, but racing.
Oh yeah, see, it happens. You're like, I don't know where you get that from. Oh, I got recognised, by the way.
Oh, but listen, that's the first time in.
Yeah.
No.
James.
But yeah,
Are you
I don't know
still trying
what
to?
else to say. Yeah, I'm begging, mate. I'm begging. Come on.
James.
What's your bank account? I'll put some money in it if you want.
I can use that.
Yeah.
I want to know if your own has ever said to any females, "You know, I'm a champion in an online racing league."
Say again.
Have you ever said to any girls, "I'm a racing champion in an online racing league"?
Well, no, yes.
I'm an F1 world champion, don't you know?
No one knows.
I think I've used it once, maybe. It didn't work. There was another question that James was going to ask, and it's quite an important
Yeah, I
one.
was going to. Do you at all like Star Wars? You don't have to say yeah if you don't. Well, this I'm telling you, I'm going to say Jerome again. Your room, or what is it? Your room. Anyway,
James struggles with that.
Yeah, I struggle with even remembering my colleagues' names, but this relationship could have gone to a whole new level. But it's just kind of hit a bit of a brick wall there. But you know,
okay, I don't care.
Wow. Anyway, there isn't much to talk about Star Wars other than there's not a lot of news out there.
It's too old for me.
Off.
Too old?
It's too old for you?
Yeah.
Ooh. Bloody hell. But that's it. I think it's all down to the age of when... Because I think when I started... I seem to remember I was 7 when I first saw Star Wars. And it sort of grabbed me at that age. How old were you, Jeroen, when you saw Star Wars?
I've never seen it.
You
No
never,
way.
never seen man. Never seen any of them.
No.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, you might think I'm quite, nice person, but I'm actually quite boring.
Yeah, but do you kind of sit, because this is the idea that I had before I was 7, that Star Wars and Star Trek was kind of the same thing.
I have an idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Who was it again who was talking about this racing league?
That was James.
Me.
I will put it on my YouTube channel for you.
How much money do you want?
This has suddenly gone serious.
It depends on what channel. Because one has got roughly 600,000 subscribers and the other has approximately 4,000.
Well, how much is it going to cost? Whose dick have I got to suck?
Mine.
Harvey Weinstein over here.
I thought you were going to say mine, my brother, my father.
My sisters.
Yes, my sister, please.
Don't be so rude. But yeah, oh man. That'd be amazing. That'd be absolutely amazing.
I'm gonna do it right away.
Bloody hell. Let's sort this out.
James thinking, what else can I do for you?
my mind is just blown. I'm like, oh my god, can't believe this is going to happen. Yeah,
this is when he says, I'm joking, by the way.
No. Yeah. He's just winding me up. Yeah.
No, of course not.
Is something that on a previous podcast, Stephen James, you probably remember this. On a previous podcast, I think James asked the question: if you were going to be travelling to somewhere like Mars, right? You were going to be travelling on the mission to Mars, and you were able to pick 3 celebrities to go with you. It was like, who would you pick? We answered then. I'm interested to know who Jeroen would pick.
Living or dead?
James?
Sorry, my mind's blown. I'm in that mode. You know, when your mum's telling you, turn TV off because food's ready and you can't quite...
Can you just answer the question, please?
Yeah, living or
I don't
dead?
know. Well, this is what I'm trying to say. I can't remember. Dave, what did you just say, Dave? My mind's blown.
Oh, well, it was
don't worry, don't worry.
I think I did select a dead person.
Yes.
But I would bring them back to life to take them.
Okay, so you can have
That's
both.
a clever idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you repeat the question? I have no clue what you're about.
Right, James. I know I take the piss out of James sometimes, but to be honest, I know what it's like when your mind just hasn't taken in something that's just been said to you. We're talking about that time when we asked each other which 3 celebrities you'd take to Mars, and I'm asking Jeroen who he would take.
Right.
So there you go. So come on then, Jeroen. Who would you take?
Well, you guys always expect an answer, but
Yeah.
I actually think before I speak. So.
Oh, you see, we like to get the.
I think. Did I say I take Nigel Lawson? Just in case I were in a cream cake kind of mood.
So you're going on a trip and you're sitting in the same spaceship, basically, yeah?
Yep, you go into Mars. You're never going to be able to come
and
back.
You're going to have to colonize on Mars when you get there.
Yep.
And it needs to be celebrities.
Yep. You can't pick that fit bird from the shop down the road.
Okay. Well, I would pick Raikkonen.
That'd be a really interesting conversation on the way there.
You sound like me.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
sound like me.
Hmm. Do you guys know? No, wait. No, you don't know that.
Would it help if I told you who I would take?
Yes, please.
Scarlett Johansson.
Who's that?
Black Widow from the Avengers.
From Star Wars.
She's an
From Star
The Marvel film.
Okay.
Ayrton Senna. I'd love to
Yeah.
get inside his head and, you know, I
Yeah.
have a million questions for him. But I think I said Ed Sheeran because he would
Okay.
just because of his music, he'd just keep everyone
yes.
happy and jolly.
Thank you. Yeah, you give me a few ideas now. Yeah. So I already said Raikkonen. Dua Lipa.
Who?
Okay. Dua Lipa. So, she's a singer.
All right. Tell her I'm out of touch.
And the last one.
Drum roll.
Got to think who's having the babies.
I would pick Ron Squire.
Because he could take his desk. Stephen James won't get that, but yeah.
Okay, I can do a Ron impression so that they know who he is.
You could do.
Hello everyone, this is the Washlet. Today, I have a new desk.
And that is pretty much.
Nope, I still don't know who he is.
He's not famous. I'll have to
That's right.
I'll have to send you a link of him at some point. One thing I will say though about Ron, right, is
I really don't know the last one.
well, you see, I'd take someone that's going to be having babies. Got to colonise.
I
But
already
you did
have
say
that.
Dua Lipa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you got Kimi Raikkonen, so your chances go downhill a bit because Kimi Raikkonen's there. So you got to have one that you're left with.
Wait, you think Raikkonen is gonna beat me?
Well, let's put it this way: would you shag Kimi Raikkonen?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. would Kimi Raikkonen shag you?
No.
There you go.
Oh, I know. Mika Hakkinen. That's the last one.
You know what?
Yeah.
The conversation there would be short but interesting.
Short but sweet.
Yeah. I can't even remember who I said, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think that's take. Yeah, awesome. For Jeroen, she's basically a female chef who does a lot of cooking, but it's mainly like cakes and biscuits and bad stuff. But on the side, she's she's good looking, but she's a bit of a cocaine addict. So
What did you say?
yeah,
She's a bit of a cocaine addict.
But that's what makes it fun.
yeah, exactly. So that's why she's cooking. So she's on board. Polytech, well, he wasn't dead before, but he is now. So I text Stephen Hawkins, because then there'd be no challenge, would there then?
There probably would be, actually. I could go forwards and backwards.
The thing is as well, it highly depends on what you're gonna do on Mars, because if you were to give a concert, I would pick completely different people.
That is
A concert?
Yeah.
Yes.
What, you mean like a music festival? Yeah,
Yes.
that's it, but that's it. I mean, yeah.
You want to have many
probably-
spectators.
Phil
as
Collins.
well, just to keep competition away, probably take George Michael as well, because he's he's the other way anyway. So.
Are you a fan of
but
George
then again,
Michael, James? Because
I do. Yeah, I do. I've just recently I've got into a bit of a George Michael thing in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like.
What, you saying you like young boys?
Hang on a minute, you got a bit of a George Michael thing. You're not going into public toilets, are you? Trying to get things in your head?
No, but I'll tell you something. It reminded when I was listening to "Outside" by George Michael. I actually. I remembered when I were Jeroen, just so you know, when I was 24, I decided to save up all my money and quit my job and go to LA and just go for a bit of a wander about, try and see how I could cope on my own. So I went out there for about 2 months, and I remember I was walking up to what's it called now? Griffiths Observatory, which is like right up on top of the mountain, up near where the Hollywood sign is. But it's usually used in a lot of famous movies. I think it's used in the beginning of the Terminator. If you've ever
Star Wars as well, maybe? No.
No. But yeah, I remember walking up there, and it's a fair hill. It doesn't look like much of a hill, but it's quite a big hill. And halfway up, there wwas a public toilet. I goes in, and there's a bloke stood in a cubicle, but the cubicle's wide open. And I'm like, what's he doing? But anyway, I went over to urinal, had my headphones on, having a wee. The urinal is one of them fairly long ones, like a big trough.
Mm.
And I'm down the far end. There's loads of room. He literally comes over and stands right next to me and starts having a wee right next to me. And I was kind of like, what is this guy doing? And he literally was like looking at me as if to say, hey, you wanna? And I bolted out of there like I don't even think I finished my wee. I think I just carried on. Just ran out. I just ran out before I'd finished. That was quite scary. But you can it's weird how... I don't vote against gay people. It's weird how I know for a fact if I did that in a woman's toilet, I'd be arrested straight away.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't know why, but just recently, I've been a huge fan of George Michael, but I've just recently got into listening to all this stuff actually.
I think James broke up a little bit there, but I think he was saying actually his music's pretty good.
Oh, aye. It is. I think, unfortunately, the stuff that they play on the radio, unfortunately, it's like 4 songs that they've got rights to, whereas there's some proper cracking songs out there.
Yeah.
That is done that never get played on radio.
I mean, the thing is, they do. I remember hearing a saying a long time ago that, like, the real artists or the people are, what's the word? The people that are like, I can't think of the word. Top of their field, like I'm not talking like your Lewis Hamiltons. I'm talking like your beyond legend, right? They always, quite often, tend to be people that are controversial or have. I mean, take James Hunt for example. Fantastic racing driver. Didn't mind swearing like fuck on TV when it was something you weren't supposed to do, or shagging every woman that he saw. Bit of a controversial character.
What's wrong with doing that?
Well, true. George Michael, bit of a controversial character, or even the amount of pop stars, or not necessarily pop stars, but people that are artists that do have controversial lifestyles. I mean,
like e.g. Michael Jackson.
Well, you say that, but I know that Jeroen does like Michael Jackson's music.
Oh, I love Michael Jackson as an artist. Absolutely shit up. But like I say, questionable personal life. But I always think at the end of the day, I don't really care about an artist's personal life, just as long as what they're putting out is shit up.
What's the personal thing though? Like questionable?
Are we on? which person are we on about? Are we on about MJ?
Yeah.
I think it was just in a couple of them interviews where he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't mind sleeping in a bed with a kid," which is fair enough if you're not doing it. But at the same time, it's a bit weird.
No, he said no. That's something that probably never happened. But he said that he would sleep on the floor and the children in the bed.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, he said even if it was in the bed, what's wrong with it? And you know, you and I mean, we have grown up in a normal situation, but you have to keep in mind that this guy definitely hasn't.
He hasn't. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the stuff where he was on.
Yeah.
The stuff where it was on about where, like, being a young kid and listening to his older brothers having it away with fans.
Yeah.
It must affect you a lot, like, growing up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't ever think that he had any bad intentions at all.
No.
The thing is, someone in his situation as well, by situation I mean rich and famous, is someone comes along with some kind of story. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. If the story gets out there as a possible story, it could be so financially destroying that it could be worth making a payment to keep someone quiet. But then that can make somebody look. I mean, people will make judgments, but at the end of the day, there's very few people who know the truth. What I found very interesting though was Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is one hell of an actor, but he did an interview a few years ago where he was interviewed about Michael Jackson because they were very close friends, and I can't remember if he actually did play him, but he was approached to play Michael Jackson in a movie because his impersonation of him was absolutely phenomenal.
No, they played a white guy instead. They used a white guy to play Michael Jackson instead.
All right. But first time I got late was to a Michael Jackson song.
I was just going to say, Jerome, what's your favourite Michael Jackson song?
It's Billie Jean, but not because of the song itself, but because of the live performances.
Yeah. I think my favourite has to be Who Is It from the Dangerous album.
Oh, good pick, good choice. Good choice.
I fucking love that.
I don't know why, but I quite like. I think my favourite's The Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Good pick as well.
I also am a big fan of Blood on the Dance Floor. That were always one that used to jump out at me as a kid. I was like, oh, I fucking love that.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's. You remember I sent you a video clip of a guy with a hand-wound wind machine that played. I think it was. I can't remember if it was Billie Jean or if it was Beat It.
Smooth Criminal.
Smooth Criminal, so that's it. Yeah, that's the one. Simply just for the sound of the music. That one just it gets me every time. Not gets me every time, but that's one that I could listen to. But so I'm not like James. I don't analyse the lyrics. I just listen to it and go, yeah, I like that.
I think that's why I like Who Is It, because there's a lot in there in that song where you're like, oh, it's just a bit. I don't know. As well, I don't know if you've seen the music video to that where.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that is a brilliant one, but it's just really odd. Like, there's a bloke in a wheelchair who's like clearly paying for high class hookers and stuff, and it's just like it's just very, very odd, very, very cool.
To live the life of a pop star, eh? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, aye.
Instead, we have to do with Hando karaoke.
So yeah. Anyway, Jeroen, I've sent Dave a couple of links to me Racing League. So yeah, that'd be absolutely amazing if you could share it.
See now, if you'd have said no, I fucking hate Michael Jackson, you'd have been screwed.
No, that wouldn't have mattered. I would have tried to convince him that there's no need to hate on him.
No, I've never hated on him. You know what? Actually, when I was a kid, I used to get a lot of as a kid, I were bullied quite a lot because I was into Michael Jackson at a phase where Michael Jackson was usually the butt of the joke. I think it were around 2002 to 2005.
Yeah.
And I went through a phase of, and I know this sounds stupid because just of the way I look now, I would be in no fit state to do what I used to do. But I literally, from watching the live performances and the music videos and stuff like that, I wanted to like dance like him.
Yeah.
And I remember doing like talent shows and all sorts with me dancing to Michael Jackson songs. And I remember all the lads in the school thought I was either weird, gay, or whatever. Yeah. But I literally just appreciated how shit hot his dancing was. And I remember this one time where there was this like bully, and I remember he were like always like taking mick out of me like for liking Michael Jackson. And this one time, I think it was literally like just a little bit of a show because we were leaving school, and they said, "Oh, do you want to put a bit of a show on?" I said, "Yeah." And I remember doing, I think it was like I did a little bit of singing, and then I did a bit of dancing. And the dancing, I'm trying to remember what the song was that I danced to.
There wasn't a pole while you was dancing, was you?
No, there wasn't a pole. No. But I remember doing this dance, and literally, I couldn't believe it. Like, even in my head, I was thinking, "Fucking hell, this is going good." The entire like hall, the school hall, were all jumping up, and they were all on top of the chairs. And this bully was sat on his chair, and he was the only one in that entire room sat down. And everybody else was like, "Go on, yeah!" I were actually like, "Fucking yeah, this is brilliant." And I don't know. I think it's just one of them things where you're like, a lot of people, even if you like something, and a lot of people think, "Oh, well, you're weird for liking that. You should never listen to them people because them people are just pessimistic."
Yeah.
A bit like
just weird, James.
Exactly. But it's a bit like me with my racing league. Like when I explained to my sister about doing this racing league, she just thinks like what we showed last week.
Yeah. She
just thinks I'm sat in a room fighting about ragging on a wheel, looking like a right idiot, which I probably do look like, but I don't think people fully understand what it is that you get out of it, the adrenaline rush and that.
They don't, and the things as well. I mean, it's the same with music, right? Some people like music because of who it is that sings it, or because of who it is that writes it, or just because of the sound of the music. I mean, so if somebody asked me what genre is this person's music, couldn't fucking tell you, but I could tell you if I like it or not, and it's got nothing to do with who the person is. It's just what it sounds like to me and whether I like it. But then people will like music because of whether it's connected to a scenario, i.e. you're on a date, you start kissing a bird, there's a song playing, then every time that song plays it's going to make you think, why the fuck did I kiss that girl? But it creates those kind of connections, and people can't fully understand it. And it's the same with bad things as well, whether it be depression or bereavement, or when you split up with someone. If somebody's never had a girlfriend and never split up with them, they don't know what it feels like. Just like if somebody hasn't lost a pet, they don't know what that can feel like.
But you know what? It's strange because, like, listening to Michael Jackson as a young kid, it sounds like he knows what that feels like, even though, you know, he might be singing about breaking up with a girl, but he's like 5-year-old. And you're literally like, how does he know to come across feeling like that?
Yeah.
It is weird.
Past that emotion.
But it's cool.
I watched, you know, because of you, James, I've got into watching these documentaries about like how making of movies and stuff like that. And there was something that one of the guys who wrote the score for a film, it took me a while to realise that when they say score, I'm thinking, what about score? What drugs are they getting? They meant writing the music. And he was saying that one of the things that some producers or directors don't realise is that you don't just write a piece of music to go with a movie. The aim of the music producer is to pass across the emotion of the film. because if without the emotion of the film, the music is useless, and it's the same when it comes to songs and stuff like that. If there's no emotion coming across from it, that's why Smooth Criminal will have a different effect on me than it might you two, because of the emotional attachment that you have to certain music. Like Phil Collins is one for me. I used to listen to Phil Collins all the fucking time because there was emotional attachments to what I was listening to. But there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, gone a long way from F1 there.
Ooh. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a change to the normal Star Wars babble.
That is true.
But yeah, it's been good though.
I tell you what, I have seen recently. I don't know. I know Steve doesn't mind a bit of Marvel. I know you've got into it a bit, James, with Deadpool. Deadpool 2 trailer. We talked a little bit about previously. Looks really fucking good. But I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer today. And if you're into your Marvel films, Ant-Man and the Wasp looks fucking brilliant.
I just don't like the guy that plays the Ant-Man. I just don't see him as a... I know they've used, obviously, a character that is just comes across as a nobody kind of a person, but I just don't like it.
You miserable cunt, as Mother would say.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm a bit like with. Because I was thinking about this, I was like, why do I not want to be another person playing Han Solo? And other people at work are like, yeah, but like James Bond, he's changed. But like we were saying before, like continuity with James Bond movies is pretty shit. So, but it's always been shit. Whereas obviously continuity with Star Wars has pretty much been quite fluid, to be fair.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I probably have a hard time in my head accepting a new actor playing a role, unless they were literally between the ages of 5 and 10. Then I could accept it, because I could be like, well, they're young enough, they could have a growth spurt and look a bit like Harrison Ford.
But it's too for you. It's too close, isn't it? It just doesn't work.
It's just a touch too close. Plus, I think what it is Star Wars is 40 years old, and in my head, there's 40 years of Harrison Ford playing Han Solo. He literally, in his lifetime, he's probably only spent like 6 months playing Han Solo. But in my brain, it's always been Harrison Ford, and I don't think there's ever been a character that's existed for 40 years and then been replaced by another actor. The kid playing Han Solo in this movie has got. I still
think though that when it comes out, you'll watch it and you'll love it. I think that is what is going to happen. That's what I'm going to predict anyway. I've been shit on my F1 predictions, so I'm predicting that and it'll happen.
I want to be proved wrong, but I think I've just got this weird pessimistic thing in my head, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Right, okay, guys. It's coming up to nearly a 4-hour mark on this evening's podcast, so I think we'll be calling an end to this one fairly soon. Before we do, though, is there anything else that any of you want to ask Jeroen while he's here, or Jeroen, is there anything that you want to ask us while you've got us?
I would like to ask James whether he can check his Skype.
To check my Skype?
Yeah.
All right, I'll have a look.
Yeah, it's still there.
What am I looking for, Jeroen?
Maybe it is Steve, I don't know.
I've sent it to somebody, I just don't know who. That sounds like me.
Correct.
Yeah, I got Last Ketchup.
Yeah, I've got last ketchup. The last thing that's on there.
It's a personal.
Personal.
I'm wondering if Last Ketchup is a little bit like the Pineapple song.
I sent it to Mr. Senna Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's James.
Yeah. Where am I? Sorry, Jeroen, I'm a bit useless with technology sometimes.
That's alright.
He's getting old, that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm 28, I'm feeling like I'm 98.
And oh, to be 20 years old again, eh? Fucking hell.
My info.
Okay, well, while you're looking...
Just gonna... Sorry, I was going to mention, though, while he's here, I was wondering whether he wanted to just mention what his YouTube channel was for anyone else that wants to see what he normally does.
That's a good point, Jeroen. If you want to plug your own YouTube channels, you are more than welcome to, and we can put a link in the descriptions.
My channel is XOwners133.
He's being a little bit modest now. Not saying anything that's on there. What I will say, if you're into your sim racing, check out Jeroen's footage. I find your racing footage very interesting to watch. But,
thank you.
I mean, I've had conversations before with some people. I mean, I think Steve can appreciate it. I think James can as well. Sometimes you meet people and yes, they may put a lot of hard work into stuff that they do, but they also have, I wouldn't necessarily say born talent, but they have a bit of a gift for some of the things that they do. I haven't worked out what mine is yet. It definitely ain't women, because I'm single. It definitely ain't racing, because I've been shit at that for the last 2 years. So I don't know what it is. Watching porn, I'm brilliant at that. But when it comes to racing, sim racing, it's definitely something that you've got a talent at. So for anyone that is interested in watching someone racing, and check out Jeroen's YouTube channel. I will say as well, good luck in the rest of the Ziggo racing season that you've got going.
Thank you.
Also, when I was doing the last Formula Sim Racing World Championship commentary, the amount of people that were asking, and even asking me personally, was like, "Where's your road? Where's your road? Where's your road? Is he left? Is he still racing?" So, are you still racing in FSR? Are you going to be at Canada?
50-50.
Okay, 50-50. Can't go much wrong with that. You either will or you won't. Hopefully, you will. Be good to see you on there, and hopefully back to winning ways soon as well. Okay, is there anything else anyone wants to mention before we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, Jerome, I have found your message thing and I've replied.
Yeah, I see you have replied. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Steve, very quiet there a minute. Got nothing else you want to add?
No, I'm fine. Just want to say thank you very much to Jeroen for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
I think we give a highlight of the show, Jeroen trying to do the Chinese accent.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh,
I would like
amazing.
Tomorrow I would probably like to have that cut out of this video, and if not, I will not promote the leak we talked about before.
You know what? It's fine. I can cut it out of the video and make it its own separate video.
No.
I think we also need the Kimi Räikkönen and Al Schwarzenegger chat on the podium. that were amazing.
To be fair, Jeroen, when it comes to the accents that we've done, James is very good at some impersonations. I'm terrible at them. Steve's shocking. Yeah. We stumbled. We stumbled on the Japanese/Chinese one, and to be honest, one of the things that makes it makes it more fun is like when sometimes we've written scripts, right? But the best part of it is when people make mistakes or fuck it up, because it just makes it more fun.
So you say now that I made a lot of mistakes then?
No, I'm just saying that it was fun. I'm just saying that it was fun, that's all.
Good.
I don't think you need to cut it out. It's nothing to be embarrassed by. Let's put it this way. James has tried showing his nuts on the live stream before. Thankfully, I was able to cover it up.
Yes.
In that try, I was just explaining a story, and it needed that visual element of a picture.
It didn't. It did not.
That is true. I did not need to see that.
You did cover it up. You did cover it up, didn't you? When you put it up.
Yes, we did. But it doesn't change the fact that it was imprinted into our minds before.
It only
was
needed a
bottled.
small picture to cover it up.
Oh,
Yeah.
get some Savlon.
Yeah.
I was.
I know. I'm sore now.
What was it? Steve's missus said. Oh, I feel for Vicky. But in a good way. In a good way. Oh dear. Anyway,
well, and on that note.
Yeah, on that note, it's time to say goodnight, I think. So, James, Steve, as usual, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll be back on next Tuesday. Jeroen, once again, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast. It's been interesting to get your F1 insight, your gaming insight, and your musical insight as well. So, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure.
If you want. Before we do sign off, if you want to say one of the quotes I've probably used at some point, now would be the time to do it.
I have got 2 actually, but I do need to look them up.
Just like James thinks out loud. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay,
at least
so-
you haven't done the horse impression tonight. That's what I normally do.
Horse.
Yeah, I usually do. When I'm thinking a bit. That was like a full-on stallion. Yeah, normally when I'm a bit perplexed, when I can't make my mind up, I usually go.
Well, I think that's now going to have to become the donkey, and what Jeroen just did is the horse.
I think Jeroen's with the horse with the finger up the arse.
There's something about you and fingers up arses, James. But,
I tell you.
I don't know. Okay, right. Okay, Jeroen, come on then, sign us off with a quote.
Yeah, I am still looking for it.
That's what she said.
I do have a quote from the Walt Nell as well. Let's have a look. It is somewhere around here. I did try higher front wing.
That's the one.
Yeah, I have got it. So, Dave was practicing for FSR. And he made some setup adjustments, and he said, I did try a higher front wing, which makes the front feel like swimming in a sea of naked ladies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And on that bombshell, we will end the show.
Thank you very much. It's been the I'll Tell You What TV podcast, and you can join us again next Tuesday at 8 PM. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you again soon.
Blah 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 blah.